The Brethren of Chaos podcast.
Welcome to 98.1, The Mix.
We should do something like that.
That's saying it, because I pressed record and then you said that.
Staying in.
Welcome to 106.7.
That's perfect.
I honestly, it's one of my favourite voices ever.
What, you radio
to do
voice?
to do radio voice. It's 103.2, The Jazz.
It's good as well. Like, we need to keep that.
You've been practicing that.
I do. Honestly,
At home.
Yeah.
I've honestly thought about this, right? And I might do it when my studio's finished, which we've really close. We're literally just waiting on 2 internal doors, and it's ready to go. It's all plumbed. Technically, it's functional now, but
Go on, give it a quick plug.
it just so if you need any recording moving forward, we built a recording studio. It's on a farm, so you make as much noise as you want.
Sick.
It's fully kitted out. I wouldn't say it's exactly state of the art, but it sounds great.
It's a studio.
It's a great, and it's there's really good gear there. I've got a lot of experience in that, like in production for the past, not a lot of experience, but I've had the past couple of years, so I thought it was about time to build something a bit better than what's in my house.
Yeah.
So it's called Roost, RWST. Follow us on Instagram, Roost Studios.
We'll remember that, and we'll
ROOST.
put it on a post.
Yeah, ROOST Studios.
Oh, ROOST.
And I thought when the studio's up and running, we are going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you're both invited.
Lovely.
Because it's generally it's going to be similar in the setting to this. It's going to I don't know what we're going to call it. I'm not going to call it yet, but it's going to be have a broad bent on music.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's in a studio, but like in the sense that you don't have to be a musician to be on there. If you're into music, come on.
Yeah.
If you like
Chat.
to talk about music, come on. And it's not really just going to be music. It's going to be like this kind of thing where we just talk.
Yeah.
We might have a topic on like what's your favourite tunes or songs from the 70s or
That'd be
whatever.
sick.
Yeah.
And you can talk about stuff like that. So that'd be
That
cool.
is a boss idea.
I like that.
But I do have the thing of like maybe through the summer when I'm bored, I'm gonna go up there and start like an internet radio station.
That is
So
sick.
I want to do right, and this might sound ridiculous. I want to do like an 80s radio station that just does like 80s metal and talk.
Oh, mate.
Talk like that.
Talk like that.
Yeah.
It's 103.2 The Mix.
That is sick.
That was Merdley Crew with Kickstart My Heart.
That's so.
This is Sticks.
Now
That is so good.
That's an amazing plan.
And you have to have like a stupid name, don't you?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
It's Tommy the Zebra.
yeah.
And you have you have to have that on your button like a horse neighing, even though I don't think
Yeah.
zebras neigh
Oh,
or
mate.
something. Do you know what I mean?
You have to dress up. Do the hair,
full character,
everything. Yeah.
And I thought literally I won't even publicise that I'm doing it. I just want to do it because I think it'll make me happy.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Sounds amazing.
I won't do it regularly. I'll just do it whenever I fancy it.
Yeah.
And just
What
play
a
80s
golden
stuff. Just
cool.
have Motley. Just have like
Motley Crue on it.
just Motley Crue all the time.
Bit
like
of
just
Dio.
Motley
Bit of
Crue.
Wasp.
Yeah, bit of fucking Dio, man. Yeah.
That
I
is
just pull all that late 70s, 80s like metal glam.
Yeah.
That era. Just like of a tight like 1970 like no Zeppelin. Because like that's rock.
Yeah.
That'd be a different station.
Yeah, you want
like
the metal.
78 Rainbow,
Yeah.
Sabbath,
Yeah.
Oh,
like that. The
Top.
tail end of that, Aussie, up until like the early 90s.
Before grunge killed it.
It's
All.
just before, because although I love grunge,
Yeah.
it's not like this isn't exactly my favorite genre of music, but I just think it'd be cool
yeah.
to do like just go up to like end of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Use Your Illusion.
Yeah.
Spaghetti Incident.
Spaghetti,
just right at
finish
the
there.
end. It's like early 90s, like late 70s to early 90s. I just do all the music from that.
That
I
is
call myself
Jennifer.
Spider or something.
Spider.
It's Spider playing your coming home hour.
You could definitely do like a GTA radio.
So you hit the nail on the head. The vibe I want is like GTA radio.
That
They
is
just do
sick.
like they don't do like 1,000 tunes. They don't do like I don't think we'll get to the point where we'll take call-ins, but like I just want to do a themed radio station. Like I just think it'd be cool as fuck. I've got Tidal, do you know what I mean? So I can still stream the songs and there won't be any adverts and stuff, and it'll sound half decent.
Yeah,
and I could do it on. I could put it out on Dab for free, like.
Oh,
so,
mate, that is amazing.
just to do like a themed, and I'm like thinking I might even do like I might go one further and do news stories from the 80s or something.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
That is.
Oh my
This just in, Wall Street's crashed. Do you know what I mean?
Mate.
Like,
Where did
something
you-
like
that
that.
is so
Where
cool.
did you get this idea?
I don't know,
from?
I just
thought it'd be
an
cool.
amazing idea.
It's you know what?
I'm jealous.
And it comes back to what we were saying just before we restarted. It's motorbikes. You go out on a bike. Some people wear headphones. I don't like wearing headphones. I like to hear my bike. I like to hear what's around me and stuff.
Yeah.
And because I normally live 90% of the time with music or with something on, like
Yeah.
what, telly or whatever. When you're out and you're riding down a road and you're not really distracted, you have all this freedom to just have these
thinking.
these weird like odd thoughts that doesn't like. I wouldn't have cut you.
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't. Sometimes it's like a shower thought, innit? They say shower thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like a shower thought, but it's like a bike thought. You think about stuff like that.
It's funny you say that because I've been doing like jet washing, like people's drives on the side, like the odd time, and that's because I don't put my earphones in
Yeah.
for that. So if the full day I'm just on my own, just in someone's drive, just like with the hum of the jet wash, and like your mind just goes completely.
Yeah, right, yeah.
2 hours in, and you're like, what the fuck have I been thinking?
I know,
about?
but it's good. It's good. I don't think that's good though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think you need it sometimes
To have the refresh, like.
yeah.
Do you know what? I might do that more often because I was thinking before, like when you just said 90% of the time you listen to music, there's no silence in our lives now
No.
with our,
No,
with
not
our
at all.
devices that we all got. Because I was saying to Steve that I might just do like a day a week, maybe where I just don't have any tech or anything, and just silence.
digital
Dangerous,
fast.
though. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it'd be
Digital
scary.
fast.
That
It's
I think.
scary
It's
now.
dangerous.
Yeah.
I'd love to say I mean I used to be pretty good at it. I'm really bad for it now, especially
bad for it.
in my house. Only in
Yeah.
my house am I bad for it
Mm.
because obviously I got my iPad, I've got my laptop, I've got my telly,
Yeah.
I've got my Xbox,
Everywhere.
I've got my
Yeah.
phone. So and I just walk in between. If I walk downstairs, I'm watching someone on my phone.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking, I'm watching someone on the iPad. And you're always doing something like. And I
Yeah.
think the step through is reading because I read. I mean I read all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the step through. I think like if you like for me, I'm gonna more so try and do that. Of like just read more, like
Yeah,
because I
that's
read all
good,
the
that.
time, but I read at work because when I've got the time,
I see what you're saying.
I'm in
yeah.
allowed like it's like it's kind of part of my job really.
Yeah.
So like I read a lot, so like I can do it at work and I'm not on my phone, and it's great. You have
Yeah,
8
that's-
hours where you're just not on your phone.
That's what you want.
It
That.
gets you dialed in when you can do that. I
Yeah.
was saying to Steve, I sat in galleries for like what felt like years.
That's good as well.
And I've
yeah.
just fucking read, and then
Yeah.
it's a different vibe. It takes on your mind to a different place when you do that.
Yeah.
Because I used to think I had to read with music, so I put like classical stuff on, like not
Yeah.
necessarily classicals in like Bach or Beethoven or anything, but like I got to play stuff.
Requiem in the
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Jewel of the Fates by John Williams. I got like I've not got battle music in my ears, but I've got like like I've got to play classical relaxation. I didn't name
Yeah.
it. It's Tidal's classical. It's really good.
I know what you're saying.
Loads of like Bjorn,
Debussy,
Bjorn
shit like
Stevenson.
that.
Yeah, a bit of
Nice
Debussy stuff.
classic.
Yeah, like not massively orchestral, solo or duets and stuff. Like no words, like
Yeah.
just so I can read to. But now when I'm in work, obviously I can't just like I can sometimes. I do sometimes put some headphones in if I'm quiet, do a bit of listening. But most of the time it's just the silence.
Yeah, true.
And
true, true.
once you got the key in the book, you've got your head, making the images. And
Yeah,
you-
visualizing it.
and you're reading it to yourself. You're hearing it in your inner voice, so you kind of have that stimulation
Yeah.
of a screen or something. You've got the visual, you've got the audio,
Yeah.
but it's just going on up here.
It's
you're
in
not,
your
you're not
head.
instead of doing it on a
It's not
screen, like-
external.
yeah, it's internal, which is
stimulation
nice.
into
It's
it, yeah.
internal stimulation.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's really and it's relaxing, and also the main thing it's the contrast when you when you get out of work and you put your headphones in when you're walking home, you stick a bit of Hall and Oates on. Rich girl.
Oh.
She's a rich girl.
Oh.
Bit of 80s metal.
Perfect.
That's what you need.
Love it.
No, that's
yeah.
those summer tunes. A bit of Isley Brothers, Summer Breeze. Summer Breeze
Oh.
makes me feel fine.
Do you know what? California Soul by Marlene
California,
Shaw.
California soul.
That's my summer walking.
yeah.
Fucking
But
love
you know,
it.
but when you've had like 8 hours of
Top.
not listening to it, you stick them on. That first tune when you're walking home.
You start listening. You listen.
better.
You actually
really
listen
get
to
the
it,
tunes, like-
don't you?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
really get the tunes, and you get that. You're like, fuck, can do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
that great feeling.
It is a great feeling.
I had something very similar to, because I've been camping nearly every weekend this year. I haven't been gigging.
Yeah.
I've gone camping over the weekend.
Noticed, yeah.
And that was for 3 days, I've got no technology or anything about my phone.
Mm.
Then you come back to my house and like go on YouTube and stuff. Like, it does feel different. Like
Feels dirty, doesn't it? Like in a way when you're doing it all the time. When you come back to it, when you come back to it, you feel like a treat.
yeah, that's it.
You feel
Yeah.
that's like a treat. It's
Yeah.
like
A
I
reward.
can do this.
Oh, here we
It's like a
go.
reward. I can sit down for a
Yeah.
minute, and you've earned it in a way.
Mm.
Like I think it's a good thing. I think like I don't really do social media, so I don't really have to suffer with the doing the social media break thing. However, I've noticed myself more now just scrolling through Instagram, looking at motorbikes. looking
do
at
you do
cars, looking
TikTok?
I do TikTok. I don't do it.
See, I told
but
you, Steve, everyone does TikTok
I do
now.
watch it, but I try to limit myself because
Yeah.
it's very, very easy
Addictive, man.
to be in bed on a day off.
Scrolling.
And you wake up at 8:30 and you're fucking
It's 10:30 by the time
Yeah.
you're done scrolling.
PM. You just don't realise how quickly the time goes, and you've
Yeah.
watched nothing of substance,
Nothing of value.
like you've just watched shit.
Yeah.
And because it's like, and I'm not bagging on people who do TikTok because obviously we all enjoy it when we watch it. But it's not designed for that, is it? It's not designed
No.
for worth. It's just designed for 30 seconds to a minute long distractions.
Yeah.
And that's what the attention span. Like that's what I mean about
That's all
this thing.
That's all we're like dialed in for
We're
now,
just-
isn't it?
Just those
Yeah.
really short attention spans. Like, I mean, I read a lot, and I didn't read a lot, but I didn't read a lot towards the end of last year. I was so busy and just on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
Any time I had a minute, I was on my phone because it's close and it's quick, and it's just 30 seconds you have to get involved. So this start of this year, I don't do resolutions or anything like that, but like I picked up a book and I was like, I've found it really hard.
It's so difficult, man.
Because
to
it's
get that
like,
time out.
yeah, because it's like you're half a page down, you've read nothing. You go back to the
Mate,
top of the page.
I was saying this, I read a page and I've gone, fuck all's gone in
Yeah.
there. I'm
Yeah.
stupid as
Took it in.
fuck,
And you're
man.
like, what's going on? I'm like, my brain turned into mush. Like, you have to go back
Literally.
and back and back.
Oh,
And then, but then, once you key in after the first 10 pages, 15 pages, you can get through them, and you've read them 5
Yeah.
times. After that, you start
you're
flying.
in. Yeah.
And like,
It's
you
like
just,
a task, man.
yeah.
It is a task.
And but it's good though. I mean, it's good to have the break from it. You, as I say, you enjoy it more when you go back to it. And I think as little social media as possible. It ain't healthy. It really isn't healthy.
No.
Like, it can't be healthy. It just can't be.
No, it
like,
can't. It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense for it to, like, it doesn't. It's not furthering us. It does good stuff. But is it good on the whole? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, for the time that we use it as well.
For the time, it's the time. It's how much it sucks up, because it's how much it gives, how much it takes time wise, and how much it doesn't give back.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't give us anything.
Are you
So-
listening, listeners?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'll be about to say the counterpoint is things like this, like a podcast, are the opposite. I think because they're not 30 seconds, they're an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And especially if you keep listening, you get to know people. Generally, you hope if people are sustaining in a conversation for so long, they're actually talking about something that's probably rather entertaining or worth listening to or whatever. So these are the kind of counterpoint. These are the things that I try to. So when I'm at home now, I try to do more. If I'm cleaning my bike, I will not stick. You can't stick to kind of go back to your phone every 10 seconds to
Yeah,
swipe it
yeah,
away.
yeah.
That's what I was going to say with podcasts. You can have it in the background.
Oh, it's what I
you
work
can
to.
consume it without it fully taking up your time.
I don't work to music. I work to I'm working on the bikes or working on the cars, whatever. I work to a podcast because with music, because I'm so into music, I find myself distracted by the music. And I'm
That's too
turning
much.
something the wrong way for ages. Like, why is this coming off? Oh, because I was singing Kickstart My Heart for the past 5 minutes.
If you listen to a blast beat for
But whereas the podcast, you can listen to them and you can just have them in the background, and you can key in when you want to key in and key in when you want to key out, and they're not asking anything of you. Like, so like with the music, it's kind of grabbing your attention all the time. With the podcast, it's like people talking, and you listen, and you can listen
That's
whether you want, so don't
fantastic
listen
point.
whenever you
That
want.
is a fantastic
And
point.
and again, like as we were saying outside on our when we were having a break, the benefit of having hosts, not just a host. Or the thing is, having hosts is if you don't have people on, like if you say you didn't have someone like me, it's just someone in the seat, you can talk.
Yeah.
It's a good time for you to have a chat, and you get to know your hosts, and you tune back in. As I said, that's not for the guests, but for the atmosphere and for the vibe and for the hosts.
for what
you
it
tune in
is.
for what the hosts are saying,
That's
and you
perfect.
trust the hosts to put on people that they find interesting, or the person they have on find the host interesting, whatever they have to say. Like I do, and I hope you're finding this interesting, and hopefully people who are listening find it interesting.
Oh, they will. Of course they will.
But it's it's nicer to have this this time.
Yeah.
Instead of just fucking scrolling,
Well,
scrolling.
doom scrolling.
It's what I was saying to Steve. I put my life to try and get into be Steve in many ways because
he's a nomad. And I mean this in the best way possible.
Literally.
You are a nomad.
You're great. Honestly, I honestly when I see you abstain from stuff. I know you love Instagram and maybe a bit too much Haribo's, but other than that,
don't we all?
Other than that, mate, I try and.
Well, thank you, Charles. I don't know what to say there.
You're a very free spirit.
You are,
which is it's nice to be around as well because I remember it wasn't too long ago when you went to Nepal, and we were in the bar, and we were just chatting like we normally do. We see each other once every week, once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and we talk quite a bit.
We have a good chat.
We have a good chat with So, and I think I hadn't seen you in a week or so. I said, "Hi, Steve, are you all right? Oh, Sam, you all right? What are you up to? Oh, I've just been working. What are you up to? Oh, I just booked a flight to Nepal."
It's crazy, isn't it?
I was like, "All right. How long have you had that planned?" "Oh, I haven't. I just thought I'd go.
Yeah.
How long are you going there for?" "Oh, I don't know. A week, a month, a couple of months."
Yeah, it's perfect.
And I was like, that's the fucking.
That is
the way to be.
It is the way to be.
If you can be that way. Because I'd be neurotic, I'd be fucking going nuts. I couldn't do that. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I could wish I'd get out my own way, but it's difficult for me to
get
do.
out your own way.
Getting out your own way is a big thing. Yeah, because it's because I like to think I'm busy all the time, and to be fair, most of the time I am. But also, am I that busy? Can I not say to myself, let's put a month aside?
Yeah.
Try to put a month aside, work a bit extra, put some money aside, whatever.
Yeah.
And go and fucking do that.
Yeah,
it's
true. Yeah.
Why? It's but you're able to do it. You're nomadic, which is a good thing. And that
I'm not tied down.
You're not tied down. But in the sense of you're free in the spirit sense. I've just been able to go. Don't have the trepidations of a lot of people I would say of going to, for example, just booking a flight to Nepal. I'd be like, fuck, what's the food like? I don't know.
Me too. I'd be exactly the same.
And I've travelled a lot. Do you know what I mean? But I've lost it over the past probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I've lost the ability to just go, oh, fuck it, sort it out when you're there.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
Who cares what the food's like? Sort it out when you're there. Who cares how you get about? Just sort it out when you're there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I forgot my suitcase. Who cares? Fucking sort it out when you're there. Do you know what I mean? Because you like to think, especially being as Westerners, we like to think that how do they survive everywhere else? Well, they survive exactly like
they're
we
the
do.
same as we do.
Yeah.
They eat the same. They eat food. They drink water, and then they live in a shelter.
And they fart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all do the same.
Everybody
thing.
wants a laugh.
I was on a boat trip in Belgium, a canal trip in Belgium, should I say? And the bloke who a couple of years ago, and the bloke who was taking us up the canal was this like leather faced, white haired bloke who's could have been 70. Was probably more like 42, but he just didn't. I lived this life. You could tell the bloke had lived a life, and he'd tell that he hadn't always done this, and he won't always do it either.
Yeah,
he won't he'll do this for a bit, and then he'll fuck off somewhere else and do something else. And he said it. He put it best. He was saying, obviously this is a boat trip. He's supposed to be talking about the history of the buildings, but he kind of got a bit more existential. And he's like, he's like, I don't understand why all these people they argue, we fight, we argue, we fight, we argue. We all sleep, we all eat, and we all fart. We all do it the same. Why can't we all just get along? I thought, yeah, okay, fair enough.
I love you boat guys.
It'd be more. I loved it. It'd be a little bit more poignant if it wasn't for the bloke who's rowing, almost falling out the boat because he's so fucking stoned out his mind. But it was very. I just fucking God. It was
influential.
Almost
really.
10 years ago he said that, and I still think about that all the time. I think, fucking, why do people get? Why do
those things stick with you? They stick with you.
That's it. It's stupid
because they're meaningful and they apply to. But the funny thing is, all those people on that boat, it might have only applied to you.
Yeah,
because you might have only took it on.
Yeah.
Other people might have, fuck this guy, what's he talking about? This shit that he's
weird boat man.
So it's more to you than it is to anyone else.
Have you seen the film In Bruges?
Oh, I love that film. Colin Farrell.
Is it good?
That's a good film.
Great.
You like that, Charles?
When they're going down the canal in that speedboat and they see a Labrador and they all golden retriever and he's hung over the side of the thingy. Like there's like
remember.
it's like a shot of a dog as he goes past, and like they belted down this canal, and there's a dog like hanging over the side like asleep. It's a real dog. That wasn't an extra.
Fuck.
Oh,
and
and
when
when
you-
you said it in.
And he just had it in
It
because
just
when they were on
there.
the boat, that dog has been there for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And just slept on this like little. They put like whoever owned the house opened the windows and then put a little plank and like nailed it to the thingy, and so the dog like sleeps over the canal. He just sits in the sun all day and sleeps.
Yeah, and they were filming, and he was.
And he's found he was there, and I saw the dog.
Oh my god.
It was just really cool. And the bloke pointed. He said, "Now, please, everybody, be quiet because when we go past the dog, we leave the dog to sleep."
Oh.
And it was really nice. And
That's
everyone
so wholesome.
went quiet.
quiet.
And he
Oh.
went, "Okay, thank you." And then, now we left the dog to sleep. And he started talking
That
about
is
like the universe and Jesus and stuff, but whatever.
I want to be that dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that.
I want to be that dog.
Yeah, he's like a genuine film star.
The
That's
boat.
perfect.
You know that's funny is like people go to like sets and stuff for films, and you've got
Yeah, like there's
The
just
dog.
a dog. Yeah,
from In Bruges.
yeah, for in Bruges, the dog.
Oh,
It's a
well,
great
that's
film.
special,
That, by the
I'll
way.
have it. I'll literally watch it tonight.
It is
It's
great.
a great
watch it.
film.
It's
Have you
like-
watched Banshees of Inisherin?
Yes.
So it's the same
yes.
guy, Martin McDonagh.
Is
He
it?
directed that.
Fuck.
Yeah. And it's same cast.
It was
Same cast,
Oscars
yeah.
film that one, Banshees of Inisherin,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it, this
Yeah, yeah.
year?
That was
Fucking
good,
hell,
yeah.
man.
What is it? It's like they're like hitmen, aren't they? They go to In Bruges to cool off or something.
Yeah, so I think they
Not
get
in Bruges.
sent
They go
the-
to Bruges.
Yeah, they are in Bruges rather
In
cool.
Bruges.
Yeah, but I think they balls up. I haven't watched it in years. They balls up a job, and they get sent to Bruges. Ranulph, Ray
Gleeson, Brendan
Fiennes is in it.
Yeah, he's in it. He's
Oh,
like
is he?
Voldemort, yeah,
Yeah,
and Domhnall
fucking hell.
Gleeson and not
Oh.
Domhnall Gleeson. That's
Brendan
Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson and Colin
and
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
What a
Yeah,
cast.
Yeah,
But
great
it's like
cast.
it's. I don't know how to describe that. Ruin
I
it, but
can't
it
remember it,
goes
yeah.
a bit like.
It goes a bit awry, like
Yeah, it
it's
goes.
a good. It's very him. It's very
Mm.
Martin McDonagh. It's very good.
Yeah,
film, like.
Sweet.
That's
It's on the
I haven't
list.
watched that in ages. Well, I'm going to watch
I'll
that
it.
again.
I'll watch it. I think I might watch it tonight. Talking of going awry.
Going awry, yes. Okay.
Let's, if we like, we'll get back to
Yeah, get back to the
So we left you.
mania.
We left you at 1905.
Yeah,
Mm.
the
And,
revolt.
And as I said at the start, there are 3 Russian revolutions. We won't skip straight to the next one. We'll outline again why this kind of went on. So we were on Dumas, we were on governments. They were dissolved 3 times. By the 4th time, they kind of got it right. They didn't really get it right, but they got it where it was kind of functioning and it stayed. And they had
He got
and
closer.
the main thing is they had power, like the Tsar didn't.
Mm.
Obviously, that couldn't stand.
Right.
So quite quickly, the Tsar, between him and his advisors, put together a document. It was called the Fundamental Laws. The laws are numerous, but what it basically meant was that this beautiful government, the start of this government that he created, just disappeared overnight. They couldn't do anything without his say-so. He got ultimate veto. He got, everything had to pass through him. No one could do anything. So it basically destroyed it overnight.
Fantastic.
Rendered it useless.
Rendered it useless because it actually at a time where the last time with the last government, they were kind of getting somewhere. People were a bit happier. People going, yeah, this is real. There's real change.
We're getting there.
We're getting
Yeah.
there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. And he just basically cleaned its clock straight away.
Wiped it up.
Fucking hell.
So the guy's still an issue, and the guy remains to be an issue.
Yeah.
And there's things happen. There are smatterings of uproar and stuff, but we're late into the early 1900s now, and now we're going into like the 1910s, and we'll pick back up near the First World War
Yeah, that's
because
a big activity that happened.
a big one. I mean, obviously they didn't call it World War One at the time. They didn't know another one was coming, but
yeah.
it was
The first of it.
first of those ones. Like, so Russia joins the First World War because Nicholas does fancy himself as he's not really mad on being king, but he does fancy himself as a military leader.
Mm.
So he's like, yeah, we'll jump in because we've got it. Like we know what we're doing. We're invincible with Russia.
Yeah, big Russia, Mother Russia.
It was conscription, so they obviously they pulled, there's people off the street really.
And that's when it's conscription, people don't fight properly, don't they?
Yeah, because they weren't really keen, and he was also taking like emaciated farmers,
Yeah,
and like people
Famished.
who like couldn't afford to live, and it was now saying, oh, by the way, you're about to fight for your country. Like, what fucking country? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing for me?
us,
Do you know what I mean? So they joined the First World War. Tail end of 1914 to 1915, immediately goes very, very, very badly for them. They're underprepared, undertrained, under-equipped, which was the main thing, and also demoralised. They didn't want to be. No one wanted to be there.
they've ticked off all the boxes there.
Yeah,
I don't think many
they
people
have,
wanted to. Not many people wanted to be there. But if you remember, you think to like the Second World War over here, there was such a rally of like public sentiments towards supporting your country, towards
Yeah.
your duty, and the Kitchener posters of we want you, and like all those huge sentiments to pro-war and to we were doing the right thing.
That's it. Yeah.
You had lads as young as like 12, 13 trying to get signed up, lying about their age. They wanted to go to war.
Oh, so it's like the film that recently came out, the war film where they were so, wanting to go to war.
Yeah.
What was the war film? It came out recently.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
All Quiet on the Western Front. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Russian?
I haven't seen that. Is it?
I haven't seen that.
I think that's World War Two. Oh no, it's World War One, isn't it?
World War
Yeah,
One.
1970. I think.
All Quiet on the Western Front. Yes. Oh, actually, yeah. It does
So
actually.
it's a remake, isn't it? Of
the original.
the original.
Yeah. Well, I think there is something in All Quiet on the Western Front which is actually right on this, because it was. Let's say not many people want. I mean, there were people who wanted to go to war, aka all the people who were friends with the royal family. Because they weren't on the fucking front lines, were they? Do you know what I mean? They were in a train car,
Speaking French,
400 miles away,
having croissants.
Speaking French, sending all these people to do their dirty work. So I mean, it was so bad. I mean, I think the Russian death toll was something like 6 million.
Oh my!
Which was the high.
God.
I think I might be wrong here, but was the highest death toll in soldiers.
Yeah.
Of World War One. It was huge, and
that's absurd.
In All Quiet on the Western Front, I believe they depict it quite well. It was so, they treated the people so badly. If you deserted, you got shot.
Yeah, that's what it was. And it was in the film. He wanted to go and he went fuck off, and they just shot him.
Yeah, just shot him.
And if you turned around when you were on the front and started to run back, you got shot.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them died. They sent so many of them that by late 1915, early 1916, it worked out at about 1 gun to 2 men.
Oh my God!
So
I'll have it. You have it.
So what they do is someone would jump over the trench, run, and then you wouldn't wait because you'd get shot.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going in, so you'd have to run behind them, hoping that this person you probably know gets shot and killed, so you can take their gun.
That's
and you've got another bloke behind you who's hoping the same thing happens. And they got so bad towards like the end of 1916 that they actually, obviously very early on ran out of food most places, and they were dying of starvation most of the time, delirium.
Yeah.
But they ran out of uniforms, so you didn't even know who was on your side. And
so they were probably shooting.
So you're just shooting everyone.
Oh my God!
World War One,
brutal.
Was such a fuck up in military tactics as well.
Huge.
They were
huge.
Like World War Two was actually, the military tactics were really proper.
They learned from the first.
Yeah. Plenty of practice.
But that first one, they were basically doing tactics like that you do with horses and muskets. But they're doing it with machine guns.
Yeah,
it's completely different.
That's
never worked. It never worked at all.
I've always think it was close quarters combat, but with like long quarters weapons,
with big fucking machine guns for the first time.
So it did. But no one knew how to use them.
Yeah.
So it didn't make any. Not as you say. That's why the death toll. One of the reasons why the death toll was so large for World War One, because as you say, there's no real tactic.
Yeah.
It was just getting chucked in a trench and just running at each other.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you had swords and spears. You had guns.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But and obviously, swords are pretty fucking deadly. But so are guns and bayonets and shit on the end of the gun. It was just bloody and awful.
I remember
and horrible.
somebody saying, I can't remember who it was on a video, some war person analysing the tactics of World War One, and he was looking at like all the battles and all the countries, and he was saying you were better off like stepping away. If say you were a country in that war, you were better off stepping out of the war and just doing like guerrilla warfare in the cities.
Yeah.
Really?
Leave them to kill themselves in the trenches, and you just go into the cities and just fucking have little
Try and
small
take it
groups
over.
and just do it that way.
Well, that's how they did. That was the Second World War. That's how
Yeah.
That's how that they learnt all the lessons. We did. Didn't learn all the lessons. They went to war again.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is-
They
which is a
went
lesson.
to war. Maybe we shouldn't do this.
They should have learnt from the first one. But World War.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah.
The gap. Again, the disparity, the gap between World War One and World War Two, and why World War One and World War Two happened is also a very interesting topic. But again, something we'll only touch over because we're talking about Russia specifically. But it is very interesting. World War Two kind of became inevitable because of World War One.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
just going to happen
Yeah.
because of the ramifications of World War One.
The treaties of Versailles.
The treaties of Versailles, the way that the reparations that the Germans had to give back to the Allies, all those things, the treatments after the war, made, in my opinion, and a lot of is a lot of historically held opinions like that is basically it was the treatment after World War One. World War One never should have happened.
Yeah.
But World War Two was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just because of how badly the Germans got it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was so wrong when you look at it,
Huge.
wasn't it?
Because fundamentally, like any war, it's not the choice of the people.
Yeah,
It's the choice of the people that are elected.
that's it.
And
the war
then-
pigs.
And then everybody else has to fight it
Mm.
while they're in a fucking in an house. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're fine. So it's. Again, I won't tangulate too far because it's because there's still a lot about this, but it is why it happened. There was the presidents of the US at the time, or after the Second World War, after the First World War, when they were talking about reparations, Wilson, he said about the Germans, and it became the kind of attitude towards them and why they eventually, one of the reasons why they eventually retaliated. He said we will squeeze Germany until the pips squeak. That was like that was basically saying we want everything we have left.
That is mental.
There was this famous like a famous, I don't know how true it is. It probably is, but hyperinflation, which is actually something to do with this as well. Hyperinflation at wartime, after the war, when they had to pay all the reparations, the Germans had to pay all the reparations back to the rest of the countries. Story goes, a man travelled from his village into Hamburg to buy a pair of shoes for his daughter. It was like a 3-day train ride. Hyperinflation had already set in, so he was carrying stacks of money. Just because obviously there's no chip and pin, no contactless. Fucking hell, just bring your card, do you know what I mean? But he was carrying stacks of money to buy his daughter a pair of shoes. The journey was like 3 days, 4 days. And by the time he got to Hamburg, the hyperinflation, the money was worth so little that he could only afford a loaf of bread. Wow. He couldn't buy his daughter shoes because...
That is...
So you're talking like what? And again, it all works the thingy.
That's a crazy story.
Say you're buying your daughter shoes and they're 50 quid now and a loaf of bread's £1.
Yeah.
So the increase in like 4 days is like 50
crazy.
quid.
It's like
Over
crypto,
3
isn't it?
days.
Yeah, it is. Again, it all comes back. It all comes back.
The
It's like crypto.
parallels.
It's the ups and downs, and it was like the world. If you ever wanted to, we could talk about it another time. Because the gap between World War One and World War Two is really interesting. How World War Two was inevitable is kind of like is really interesting thing to look at.
Yeah.
Because one, you could easily look. You could layman, you go, well, obviously not, because it's a war and you should never, and it's morally 100%. But it just, but
for
you
the
look
pod.
but you look at all these things that happened, all the all the chaos in between.
Yeah, you go.
And got it back, brought it in. I'll take me 10 later. All the chaos in between it. Yeah, by the end of it, you go, well, of course.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Of course, it was going to happen because it just becomes obvious. Kind of like the 1917 revolution.
Here we go.
There we go.
So
great segue.
Thank you. So, as I was saying, they're in the First World War, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible war. Like all wars, but it is terrible.
It's a fuck up.
Nicholas and Tsar Nicholas II, he goes off to war. He leaves Russia, or leaves Winter Palace and goes to war. So he goes.
This.
He doesn't go to the front, but he goes.
Yeah.
Close. He becomes commander in chief.
Kind of respect it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, he did fancy himself as a military tactician. He had done time
Napoleon
in the military. So he thought, well, this is my chance to do something with my position.
Prove himself.
To prove it, basically, to prove himself, because he did have a large shadow cast by his father and cast by his predecessors. So he thought, this is my time to prove myself, and obviously didn't.
Oh, mate.
Because loads of people died.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when you got 6 million of you that you've sent to their death, you've got to say at some point, listen, I'm probably not very good at this.
I'm holding my hands up here, guys.
Yeah,
My bad.
Maybe.
We need another Doom bar.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was called.
It was the Jews.
Yeah, it was the Jews. Fucking hell, it was the Jews again. Fucking Jews fault again. So it gets, again, all the way through the war, we still have this unrest from 1905, it's still carried on. And it's still building, and it's still building, and it's still building. And as you were saying before, now the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks and these socialist parties, I mean, they're one of many.
Yeah.
But these socialist parties, they actually were far from the biggest, but the ones we remember now, these socialist parties were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because people were now they're at war. And they're losing, so everyone's losing their family members. They're like, this is fucking crazy. This is not... There needs to be change.
Yeah,
there needs
this
to
isn't
be change.
right.
We can't. They've taken our homes. They've taken our land. Taken our rights and everything else, and they're taking our freedoms. And now they're taking our lives. They don't care about us. And it was this kind of. It always. It's like a kettle, just boiling and boiling and boiling and boiling.
What were they going to pour in a pot noodle?
And then if they poured it on a pot noodle, it might have all been all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But unfortunately, no. I got pot noodles. I know actually. I might treat yourself to a pot noodle. Have you had a pot noodle with toast?
What?
I had a pot noodle and toast.
No, that sounds bonkers to me.
What flavour is that? Bombay Bad Boy one?
Chicken and mushroom. Chicken and mushroom.
On a bit of toast.
On toast, man.
Oh, mate. Bit of butter.
Yeah, with butter.
Oh my god!
I couldn't do that.
No, I know it sounds.
Maybe just the bread, but
I know it sounds crackers. Yeah. don't knock it till you tried it.
Fair enough.
When you're a student.
That's the way.
That's a student lifestyle
that's
meal.
A Michelin star meal. Especially if you do the salt and the soy packet.
Oh,
you do that. They do the flavouring packet after you've got it out on the thing in you. And you drop it down.
Slice it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Ooh.
Wait, are you dipping the toast in the noodles, or are you pouring the noodles on the toast?
You kind of freestyle it. I mean, you can. I mean, my chosen method is you eat some of the noodles. You have 2 slices of toast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no wholemeal, no brown, doorstop white bread.
Yeah.
Like,
crispy or
semi-crispy. You've got to be able to bend it.
I see.
You know what I mean? So you eat a bit of the noodles. You eat a bit of the noodles. I haven't had this meal in a while, fortunately.
You're going to be having it tonight.
Yeah, we'll be on it tonight. Reminisce. So you eat a bit of the noodles. You pour some of the noodles on the toast.
Yeah.
You fold the toast over. You make a toast butty.
Oh my god!
Toast pot noodle butty.
Toast pot noodle butty. You eat that. Then you've got the sauce left. So then you get the piece of toast that's left.
The other toast.
And you dip.
And then you dip that in.
That's like a 3-course.
Do you know
meal.
what?
You got an entree of noodles. You got your main of a pot noodle butty.
Got your dessert.
And you got your dessert of a chicken and mushroom jus.
Oh, mate.
That's pretty good.
You know what? I don't believe in much, but Just for you, I'll give it a go.
Give it a
Give
go,
it a go.
lad. Give it a go.
I think we should film ourselves eating that and
Yeah,
post
we'll do it.
on
We'll do it. Steve. Extracurricular content. You know?
It'll become the official Brethren of Chaos meal because it is quite a chaotic meal, isn't it?
It is a chaotic meal.
I like that.
Fuck, man.
You can have that one.
Cheers for that.
Fucking hell.
I won't put it in my cookbook.
No, leave that.
So by 1917, start of 1917, end of 1916, 1917, people, it's at a boiling point. Something's going to happen, and it's odd because, again, as I said at the start, we consider one revolution, and there were three big ones. The first one wasn't in October. The first one was in February. And it comes back to that calendar thing I was saying about before, because they were on a Julian calendar. We're on a Gregorian calendar.
Yeah.
They eventually moved over. Not too long afterwards, actually. But we call it the February Revolution. Actually, it was in March. It was the 8th of March when it started. It lasted for 4 days, but it was the 8th of March that it started. But technically, it started, the calendar started on the 24th of Feb.
Oh, okay, I see.
So we call it the February Revolution here, but really it is the March. It's kind of a February/March Revolution.
Yeah, we should call it that.
February/March Revolution.
February/March.
Again, in Petrograd, in front of the Winter Palace.
I've got it written down. Petrograd.
Yeah, in Petrograd, in front of the Winter Palace, like the 1905 revolution started.
So it's similar.
And
Same.
And
Same.
and a really interesting thing about it is, it wasn't planned.
Yeah, I get you.
It kind of happened.
It happened
naturally, organically. It's bizarre. So it basically started as an International Women's Day like support rally.
International Women's Day.
Wow.
Oh,
They just happened to run into like a protest group of people complaining, striking for food because it was wartime and was
Lenin
people
involved in
enough
this?
food. Lenin,
because I know
Lenin. It's again. This is a point of.
Shall I mention his exiling?
Yeah.
So Lenin was exiled 3 times. I've got written down it. The first one, 1895.
Mm-hmm.
He's exiled to Serbia for 3 years.
Oh,
and after that,
yeah.
I'd take the jail cell. At the time, no offense to any Serbians. So, I mean, the people are apparently great, but like at the time, there's no central heating there.
Yeah,
no.
Cold, like.
But then
no Canada Goose.
He went after them 3 years. He went to London, and that's where we were on about his writing. He started writing all these newsletters and everything that was smuggled back into Russia, and then. And that during that time is when he split the party into the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. And then he returned in 1905. So that the same time as the first revolution. Yeah. And then got exiled again in 1906.
Loves this
so that's his
activity,
second
doesn't
exile.
it?
I'm not sure where he got exiled for that one.
I know when he came, I think it might have been Paris, and I think when he came back the second time, he came back from Switzerland.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. No, because I think he travelled a lot through that thingy, but I think he originally went to France.
Is that the one where he came back in 1917, the last time, and he came on an armed, but like a train escort.
Train. No, he came on an armed train.
An armed train through Europe. From Switzerland?
Switzerland. He came
from Switzerland, an armed train full of all like his crew across. The war's still going on, isn't it?
So it's it's like the start of 1917. That's why it was armed, and also because he feared for his life.
Yes,
and he had and also Lenin. I mean, don't talk about it a lot now. It's not really talked about a lot, or like when you talk about Lenin, but he had a lot of German support.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of money behind him from the Germans.
I've got something I can mention here that's so weird, and I read a book on it. I can't remember the facts or anything, so I can't go into detail. I'll lend it. It's a book on how the American banks, the Jewish American banks, funded the Bolsheviks, and like you can track back like all Lenin's stuff is funded, and like all the revolutions and everything from American banks.
and
crazy.
And then some 40 years later, the Americans went to war. With America, the Americans went to war with Russia.
With Russia
in the Cold War. They funded a regime. The Americans in general, as I say, they funded a regime that they ended up fighting against.
Yeah.
Like 30 years later, when they funded Saddam Hussein
Oh my
and then
God.
went to war with Saddam Hussein.
There's the parallels coming
parallels
back.
just
Yeah,
come-
the parallels coming back, aren't
There we
they?
go.
And so, yeah, he came back on an arbitrary. He came back after the February Revolution, February March
okay.
Revolution.
I see.
Basically,
I see.
it was like I say, 'cause it was unplanned.
Yeah, it was unplanned.
It was the International Women's Day, and it collided with these strikes over food and over workers' rights. It was a workers' rights strike, but it was mainly over.
They need to get those pot noodles sorted.
I know. I knew you was gonna say something. I saw you giggling.
Down to the factory. So it ended up being, this peaceful, this like International Women's Day kind of protest, kind of gathering. Turned into.
I can't stop laughing about that for some reason. International, like the women's
you're hungry?
women's protest that
Yeah,
It's
of
just got
all
overshadowed.
International
yeah.
Women's Day, whatever.
Yeah, of all the things, like it wasn't. It was like something really nothing to do with
Yeah.
the government. It's like the government at all. It quite quickly spiraled. There's about 200,000 people there by the second day. Outside the front.
Some-
Now you've got to
some
think
heads.
that's a lot of people. That's a lot more people than there were there on Bloody Sunday in 2005. But there's no military
Mm.
Oh, I see.
because there's not military in any big numbers anyway because they're all at war. So there's basically no one.
Yes.
There's not really many people to defend against them. There is enough, however, to quite quickly. It's only 4 days. Quash the revolution.
Hmm.
They throw Mensheviks and Bolsheviks, the main kind of actors in the whole thing. They throw all of them into jail,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Good job.
They throw all of them into jail.
Well done.
Quashed. Everyone's happy. So, no, there's going to be no revolution now because all the people who were revolting.
Did
are
anybody
now
die
jail.
in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who dies at a protest is one too many people, but not many. Off the top of my head, the
Not as much
numbers
as the first one.
the numbers range, I think, from somewhere from 200 to 1,000,
That's all right.
depending on. No, I mean, for 200,000, it's not bad. It's not
Yeah.
between 0.1 and 0.5%. So that's pretty,
I think it's a good day.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Nice massacre. That's a nice one, man.
So, the one odd thing about it, the one thing about it which kind of does come back, some part through it, the military that was there, or the military that was there, mutinied. They went against
The government.
the government, yeah, and
What?
they handed out rifles to pretty much everyone.
It's like the French Revolution, that, isn't it?
Yeah. They just basically said "fuck this" and started just handing rifles out. Something to the region of apparently 40,000 rifles.
Oh my God!
What?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
that? Owen going, they've given 3 rifles down at the thingy
Yeah.
tonight. Come down there.
I'm fucking had it. Oh, I'll leave. You don't even ask about the process. You just want a gun. Do you know what I mean? You
Just
want
going
to go
down
down for
for
a
a
free
gun.
gun.
You would do, wouldn't you?
That'd to be fair, it'd get people to protest if you put free gun with everyone with every 5 people at the protest.
I'd
Free
be
gun with
taking
every
one.
protest.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not really interested in shooting people, but I think guns are pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'd have one.
There's something about guns, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like not from, like you said, shooting people, but there's just something about a gun.
Engineering's interesting.
Yeah.
Gotta put that
For example,
Yeah, you've got to put that.
and we're on about Russia, and we're on about the war. It's the next war, the Second World War, but AK-47,
Yeah.
Alexander Kalashnikov.
Kalashnikov.
Quick thing, sidebar. Guns, probably arguably the greatest gun, the AK-47.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Do you know
What
the
is
story
it,
about
5.56 mil?
Yeah, 5.56. Yeah. Do you know the rough story behind the AK-47?
Is it copied from the German one, the Sturmgewehr?
It was inspired by.
Is it the Sturmgewehr?
He-
The STG?
Yeah, it was inspired by Alexander Kalashnikov, Alexandrai Kalashnikov, AK. He was a tank commander in the Russian army, and he was like shot in action and was laid up in a hospital bed. And the main thing he noted of the war, of Russia's failings, the guns would jam up because they were using guns from like World War One.
Yeah,
most of the
I
time.
see, yeah.
So the guns would jam up. He had a background in engineering, so in his hospital bed, he designed what would be the AK-47, which was
Ali's in.
What are you doing there?
yeah, which was
What have you
based.
got there?
What have you got there?
The idea behind the AK-47 was, have you got that coffee cup? I've got to squeeze it. The basic idea behind the AK-47 was that it was supposed to be able to be stripped apart by anyone, put together by anyone, very simple, and basically be unjammable.
Mm.
Like it's just
It's like reliable, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's super reliable.
Yeah.
He designed that in a hospital bed,
That's class, that.
and there was
That is class.
there was a statistic, probably 10, 15 years ago. There was at one time, there was one AK-47 for every 19 people
What the?
Wow.
What in the world?
in the world.
Oh my god!
Because they were making so many of them. Because every factory was making them. Because they licensed them out to everyone.
Yeah, well, I suppose
I don't know how true that is because I never looked
Yeah.
into it. I read it somewhere in a book talking about the AK-47. There's
That
supposed to be
is
one. It
outrageous.
sounds crazy.
That's outrageous.
And there was
That is
one point in
outrageous.
America where an AK-47 it was cheaper to buy in a shop than a PS2.
Fuck off.
So you could buy a PS2. You could buy an AK or a PS2,
Yeah.
and with the AK you still have change to buy a couple of games.
just like a kid in the shop going,
That one.
this one or that one. This
They,
one, that
they
one.
sell them in Walmart. Do you know what I mean? So like they really don't give a fuck.
God,
It's crazy. So
crazy.
if that tank commander wasn't shot by a German
Yeah.
and wasn't put in a hospital bed,
To
there
think
would be no AK-47.
yeah.
Which is crazy. And the AK-47 is like the international symbol of like liberation.
That's
and
it, isn't it?
I
Yeah,
think Che
revolution.
Guevara
Yeah.
held an AK-47. All these revolutionaries because it's so accessible.
Yeah,
Or, also a lot of like African drug lords,
Pirates.
warlord, pirate people who do use children for shields. Do you know what I mean? They also hold AK-47. So it swings and roundabouts in it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, slighted him, but it is Russian, so well. So they pull all these rifles out. And again, they managed to, because it was quite... You'd say now, well, there's like 40,000 rifles and 250,000 people. How did they get it under control? And when there weren't many military, and a lot of the military had mutinied, it's
Yeah, what
because there was absolutely no organisation. So like we talk about World War I and World War II, there's absolutely no organisation. No one had any idea of where they were going, so people just wandering through the streets.
no direction.
No
with the
direction.
protest,
No one
with
knew
the
where to go.
revolution.
And it all kind of... So when they got cornered by a few military people, they all gave up. And
Yeah, I see.
So it was very quickly quashed. It lasted 4 days. They were all put into prison, obviously, because they were all carrying guns. All the people in the military were also put into prison, who were also there. So the February Revolution, Lenin wasn't there,
That's
but
a mouthful, that.
the
February Revolution.
Say that fucking 8 times. In the so obviously, not it failed but it didn't really begin. Like it began, but it didn't really have a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is the revolution of 1917 that was necessary to have the revolution
Yeah, that
of
makes sense.
1917.
Yeah.
Because without that, and this is the very interesting, another thing where the history about just chance. If it hadn't happened, there wouldn't have been. There might have been a 1917 October Revolution. It wouldn't have done anything. It wouldn't have worked.
I see.
Mm.
They needed.
They needed it
Yeah.
because, as we'll now get to, Lenin hears about it, and he's in exile, and he goes, it's time.
We have a chance.
It's time.
Yeah.
Time has come, lads.
So as you say, he comes.
Get your guns.
On the
He
next
could get-
episode.
He comes. We'll have Vladimir Lenin, the ghost of Vladimir Lenin, to explain himself. But he comes back on the armored train, and on the way back, he writes. It's obviously February into March. He writes what is now known as the April Theses.
April Theses.
Yeah, which was basically an idea that and this is kind of like the foundations of his whole thing, that the governments will not change, cannot change, and we have to take over now.
Yeah.
Take
action,
because this is the time. This
Not
is
really
our
a big
time, yeah.
feces, is it? Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It went a bit, I think it went a slightly more complex than that, but
Yeah.
a little bit more nuanced. But they were the bullet points. Like
they were the takeaway.
they were the
points.
takeaways.
yeah.
So, interesting. At the same time, while this is happening, the Tsarina, Nicholas's wife, she's running the country because he's at war. She is even less interested in the job than her husband is. The husband's at war. She'd think through the period of the First World War from 1914 to 1917. Obviously, the World War went on for a little bit longer. They didn't, as we'll get to. There were 4 prime ministers, 4 foreign affairs ministers, 3 heads of military. She just went through these people because they just couldn't agree with her, and she couldn't agree with him, but she had absolute power.
Yeah.
So they just burnt through all these people. They eventually hired, and I can't remember. I always forget his first name. A man called Kerensky, who was quite young actually. He was in like his 30s.
He had the charm.
He had the gift of the gab.
Gift of the gab.
And he was well educated, and he was actually formerly a Menshevik, which is kind of all thing which kind of tracks in. He was technically a practicing Menshevik, but they kind of, the Mensheviks at the time were seen as defeated.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, fuck it, who cares? and the Mensheviks weren't as bad as the Bolsheviks in their eyes.
Yeah.
So he was appointed prime minister, and he wanted to do all these things, and I do believe he really did. He wanted to give rights to the workers. He wanted to have a government, an elected government. He wanted to do a referendum. He wanted to do all these things. He really wanted to do all these modernised things, but he also wanted to keep Russia in the war, which is the biggest sentiment that was kind of trying to draw all this stuff out of people. They didn't want to be in the war. They're just losing people day by day in bigger numbers. But he wanted to stay in the war.
So why did he want to stay in the war?
Yeah.
I think he was trying to appeal to everyone on every side.
So you can't please everyone, can you?
So he was trying to appeal to the working class by talking about reform, about social reform.
Yeah.
But he also had to appeal to the people who put him into power.
Yeah.
But actually we need to stay in the war, because obviously the war was really good for them, because they're making all the guns and they're making all the uniforms, so they're profiting. And it's not their war. Their sons aren't going fighting.
That's not going to work out, isn't it?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, you think so, wouldn't you? And then everyone was fine, and everyone lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
No, that is not
end of the story.
So through that, the form what is the Petrograd Soviet, which is you talk about. This was like the biggest change in government up at that time. You call it like dual power. So you had like the Petrograd Soviet, and then the existing government. It was called the provisional government because they were planning for the change. Yeah, they were planning for something to happen. So it was like, well, we're not going to stay in forever, but we're going to start getting the ball rolling.
I see.
You had and it was like a real like government like today. You had like a right and a left. You had a group called the Cadets on the right, who were like quite royalist. Yeah, quite pro-military, quite pro-war. And then you had the Petrograd Soviet, who were on the other side, who were quite left, Bolsheviki, Mensheviki. kind of sad. So
them pesky
those guys,
them pesky people. So while this is all happening, Lenin's on his way back from Switzerland. He's writing his thesis, writing his leaflet, writing his April thesis, and then this leads to the July days. Isn't really. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't count it as the third revolution. It was a little bit of a bubbling, like the July days. I mean, to be fair, a lot happened. Basically, the July days was it ties into. I always read because I always forget mispronounce his name. The Kornilov affair, which we'll get to, but. Kornilov affair, which is what it's called now.
Oh, I see.
Doesn't love corn too much.
I'll get to it in a second, but like, so basically, he comes back and he tries to start a revolution in July, the July days. Doesn't really happen. It's quashed. Yeah, I mean, it kind of lines up when he does that. Doesn't really go well, and then he goes, oh, "Fuck it, I'm exiling myself again," and then fucks off to Finland.
Oh, he loves exile.
He just loves exile. He loves exile so much he can't even call it exile anymore. He's just going away. He's just going somewhere else. Like he's just going on holiday.
He's having a vacation.
So the Kornilov affair kind of comes after is like alongside the July days. Kornilov was like the acting like head general of the Russian army.
Mm.
And this is where this all kind of gets a bit skewy. So this is all kind of hearsay. Supposedly, Kerensky, who's the prime minister now, who's trying to incite all this change, calls Kornilov in to St. Petersburg around the time of July days because he thinks it's going to kick off.
Yeah.
And he needs military support.
So he thinks...
But he calls the wrong guy because Kornilov doesn't like him. Kornilov thinks he's too modern and thinks there should be a Tsar and there should be all this stuff. And thinks that he's going to kind of take the country the wrong way. So he starts coming, but his motives are a bit suspect.
Bit questionable.
Yeah. On the way, this all kind of gets quashed and everyone gets put away. And Kerensky says, supposedly, again, Kerensky supposedly ordered this, but there's no proof.
Yeah.
There's no proof of it, so we don't know. But but we do know that Kerensky said, it's all right, don't worry about it. Turn around, it's all sorted.
Don't worry about that. Forget about that.
Kornilov says, fuck that. That's the Bolsheviks talking. That ain't you. I am coming. I'm going to take over.
Ooh, bold words.
So
here we are.
So Kerensky shits himself.
Yeah.
Because he's about to get fucking,
he's going to get told off.
Get fucked up.
You're going to have a harsh speaking to.
So he doesn't like. He's like, what can I do? Because they're coming, and he was bringing a force with him. Kirimov was the bloke who ran that force.
Yeah.
He was quite inexperienced, but like they're bringing quite a few men with him. He's like, fuck, what am I going to do? All the military's fucked off. There's no one here. I'm going to get kicked out. So, and worse. Do you know what I mean? So he has no...
Sent to Siberia.
Siberia. Sent to Finland with fucking Lenin, do you know what I mean? And an holiday.
Get on the train.
Yeah, so he doesn't know what to do. I mean, the logical thing to do would be wait till he comes, have a talk with him and say, listen, everything's all right, don't worry about it. Now, what he does is he lets Trotsky out of jail because like the mates from like the Menshevik days, they kind of know each other. And then Trotsky goes, what would be a really good idea? You let all them people you put in jail. Why don't you let all them out? Because most of them are military anyway.
Yeah.
And you've got all the guns. And there's like 100,000 of them. And they ain't bringing 100,000 people in. So why don't you let all them out of jail and give them all the guns?
Wow.
Because then when they come over the hill and they see
big
all these people
army
with the guns pointing their way, they're going to fuck off.
Phew.
So
Trotsky there pulling out some...
Now, obviously you go, ha ha ha, you're fucking crazy. Yeah. But no, he went, that's a fucking Trotsky, that's a fucking great idea. Why didn't you come at that before?
Yeah.
Get them all out. Give them all the guns. So he got them all out.
I thought it's a great idea.
And he gave them all the guns.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah. He gave them all the guns.
It's bold.
Yeah, it is bold. I mean, if you could call it one thing, you could call it bold. So he gives them all the guns. And he lets them all out. And the points at the fucking dudes who are turning up.
Yeah.
And the dudes go, fuck that. There's like 2,000 of us, like 100,000 of them, and they got 50,000 guns.
Yeah.
And fucking turning tail, they fucked off.
How funny would that be, that guy turning up, thinking he's coming in to sort it all out? Because he's had no idea.
So,
fuck.
So that was September. You know what comes after September?
Oh.
So
October.
They were allowed these guns on the requisite that they could keep them. That was like the spurring of you can.
I see.
You can take. You can help us, but you can keep the guns.
Yeah,
we'll let you out of jail, and you can keep the guns.
Wait, this is in a way. Okay, I've just said I like this idea, but now thinking more ahead, it's not going to end well again.
It's not going to end well.
So
I can see what's coming in.
Yeah, I mean, so while this is happening, I mean. We'll get on to it. We'll get on to the elephant in the room, Mr. Rasputin, in a minute. But we'll come back to that because it's light at the end at least. But that's September. It ain't good. It ain't looking good, bruv, for Kerensky or for that thing. Now, Nicholas is away.
Yeah, he's still out there.
So there's nothing really he can do. You can probably guess what happens next. After after Trotsky's out and Trotsky's around these people, and Trotsky goes, listen, where you can hold the guns and we're not in jail, why don't we just turn around and use the guns on them?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And most of the people went, fuck, you know what?
Well, you know what?
That's actually
Sounds quite good.
It's a pretty good idea. That, actually.
Yeah. This Trotsky's
This
got some good ideas.
Pretty good idea, actually. So basically, that's how the October Revolution happened. They reorganised, and in October, they had all the guns.
Yeah.
They turned around. There was fucking no one there. The military that was protecting the palace joined.
So they joined.
Reportedly, and I don't know how true this is because this is the other thing I read. The death toll of the October Revolution officially was 6. Because there was
not a bloody Sunday that.
And apparently a couple of them were by trampling,
Oh fucking hell!
trying to get in. And again,
let me in first.
we don't know. Again, we don't really know how true all this stuff is. 'Cause it sounds crazy, but it also sounds kind of likely because all these people had all the guns, and they were like, but they weren't really willing to shoot anyone.
Yeah.
They just wanted power.
Yeah.
They went upstairs. Kerensky wasn't there. He escaped through one of the escape tunnels.
Wait, why didn't he just join with Trotsky?
Because he represented the governments that was aligned
with they just wouldn't have it,
and they wouldn't have it.
They wouldn't have it, yeah.
Because they called for Nicholas's abdication, and he abdicated on the way back on the train. He abdicated his throne.
Oh fuck it!
Because he was like, it's too late. They're in the palace.
Yeah.
They've got guns.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'll listen. I know when I'm not wanted. I'll take myself out before you take me out.
Yeah.
Fucking crowns in there.
Which fucking hell.
Crying on the train.
Fucking hell.
With dressing gown.
With slippers.
Fucking slippers. For fuck's sake. Listen, I know you're kicking me out. Can I just fucking have me fucking dressing gown back?
Have your stuff back.
Everybody just chuck me, put it in a bin bag. Just give me back. You don't even fit you.
Leave it on the door.
So, basically, and again, misconception with the revolution wasn't Lenin.
Yeah.
It was Trotsky.
Trotsky's the main man.
Lenin wasn't even in the country. He came back shortly afterwards, but everyone goes, "I was Lenin," but it was Trotsky.
Lenin's a pest. Like someone that just keeps coming off, fucking off, coming back, coming fucking off. You're just like.
And again, we know what happened to Trotsky. Do you know what I mean? Because he killed Trotsky.
Yeah, he got killed.
But he wouldn't have got there without Trotsky. Trotsky led the revolution. Kerensky escaped through like a hatch, and he's the only one of this whole thing that got out.
Wow.
Because again bizarre. He escaped. He went to France. Then he met a wife. They got married. She died. He went to New York, and he ended up teaching.
In Harlem.
In Harlem. He was my history teacher. Mr. Edwards, I know your secret. But he went to New York and ended up lecturing, and then went to Kalamazoo, Michigan, the original foundations of the Gibson factory.
Wow.
And taught in their university. Taught, would you believe, Russian history.
There we have it.
And
how do you know so much?
Yeah, what's going on here?
It's just like, oh my god, you tell us like you were there.
Wait, how do you even set up your course? You have to
change his name apparently.
Is that what he did? Yeah. Oh my god. So he's gonna
add a pseudonym.
He's gonna be telling like the course of the history. And he's like telling about this guy who was.
Can you just imagine?
And they did, and also there was no calls to have him back for anything. Like they didn't want him back to.
We'll leave him.
They didn't want him back because he was like, well, he didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah,
he was a bit useless.
Yeah,
but he didn't really do anything wrong, and he kind of aligned with what they wanted most of the time. And the only thing they didn't really align on was the war.
Yeah,
and the war ended a year later. So they weren't really mad on having him back.
I suppose he wasn't like a pure danger or a big value of anything.
No,
he
didn't really know much. So yeah, and he died at 89.
Well, he had a great life.
He lived till 89 years of age. He had like 3 kids.
Wait, so when was that? When would have that been?
He died in the
89.
Died in the 80s.
Oh,
before the fall of the Soviet Union.
Wall, yeah.
It would have been great if he outlived that.
Yeah.
That would have been
crazy. That'd have been-
amazing.
And bizarrely, his grandson played him in a film
Fuck off.
called.
No.
Is it Red? I think not Red. That's the
With Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that's
it's
Bru-
something
yeah.
like it's something one word.
Yeah.
Sounds like Red. Like
Yeah.
it's something like because it's something to do with like obviously like the start
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
the-
party.
yeah,
but his
the-
grandson played him in a film.
That's
That's how good of a
fucking
life he had.
crazy.
His grandson was ended up being an actor in like an American film.
That's amazing.
Not about him, but like about his life. So he actually got away pretty much scot free,
That's class, that.
which is crazy.
Love it.
What a nice, heartwarming thing.
Do you know what? If you can get away with it, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck
Do you
it.
know what I mean? Like, fuck it.
So I mean, we'll get to basically now. They're in.
They're in. They're in the.
That
is it
is
the white,
the end.
The white. What is it called? The White
The
Palace.
Winter Palace.
Winter Palace.
Yeah, they're in.
Is that what they're in? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the and Lenin comes back. Basically, him and Trotsky tried to work with each other for a bit, but it doesn't really work, and Lenin kind of appoints himself leader.
Of course he does.
He's done nothing.
As Lenin does.
He's done nothing.
He's a prick, innit?
And then they
he
basically.
appoints himself as leader.
It just says, well, yeah, well, I'm here now. So I know you did all the work, but fucking I'm here now. Listen,
I wrote this
I-
book.
I don't
yeah,
like him.
I've come back. I've got another book. You just sit. You read the book.
Yeah, read the book.
Read the book. It'll show you why I should be here.
Yeah.
So basically, they tried to work together for a while. Obviously, we know how it ends for Trotsky. It didn't really work out. They have a civil war in 1918.
Wait, when did Trotsky die?
29.
29. So it's
No. Sorry, that's when Lenin died. 23. I think Trotsky died. He was killed.
Yeah.
Assassination, poisoned, I think. But
good way
but
to
they
go.
can't trace it back. But they say it's like Animal Farm, innit? They say it was Lenin, and it probably was. I think Lenin dies in 29. I think he dies not too long later. But they had a civil war after that, which kind of really didn't do anything. It was Reds versus Whites, Whites being the side of the Tsar and stuff, and the Reds being thinking, and obviously they won. And,
I got some notes on this actually. The Tsars fled, didn't they?
I was going to say I was going to mention it because it brings us quite neatly onto what is I consider to be the end of the revolution.
But I've got a question here. Why didn't the Tsars flee the country?
They believed, which was half true actually, that they had enough support to get back in.
So in the back of their mind, they thought they could get back in at some point.
When Nicholas II abdicated, he didn't abdicate. He didn't abdicate and did basically get rid of the ruling power.
Yeah.
He abdicated with the idea of someone else taking over. So he offered his brother the job. And his brother went.
Nah, no one fancies it.
Doesn't look too
You know what?
fancy.
It's not looking. It's not looking like I'll be able to. I've got a lot of work on. I don't think I'll be able to get free for a bit. So why don't you ask your cousin? And then I think he asked his cousin, and his cousin said no. and because his natural successor was his son, which we'll get on, which does lead on to
Rasputin.
Well, I think we should do Rasputin, and then because I think actually tell that we'll leave Rasputin to the end because it's at least that's actually kind of funny.
Should we finish on
We'll
Rasputin?
finish on Rasputin,
Yeah.
but I believe the end of the Russian Revolution is, as you were saying, they believed he had enough support to basically come back, or at least keep the monarchy.
Was it delusion or was it okay?
Because his whole life it's 300 years of rule of his family. His family ruled Russia for 300 years,
and he couldn't believe it.
All the lineage, and he just couldn't accept the idea. Even though he didn't want the job, he just couldn't accept the idea that it would end with him, and that that whole dynasty would stop there, because it wasn't by his call. And so that's why he abdicated to try and get someone else in. Obviously, it would have eventually got onto his son, which we will get to. But
I was going to mention it. Do you got anything about the polar bears?
No.
I came across this. It's
Polar
just funny. It's only a little bit. I just thought it was funny. In that civil war at the same time, there was American troops that were sent into Russia, not to fight anything political, but it was to control the supply of guns.
Right.
going to all like the parties and everything, because like obviously we've covered it, like guns were just everywhere. I don't know who brought them in, maybe, but
Probably the Americans.
They've just self-anointed themselves
Yeah.
into it all.
Yeah.
But these American troops were in there to control like all guns coming into the country and everything. And there was also a Czechoslovakian group, like troops that got like I don't know how they ended up in Russia, got stuck in Russia and couldn't get out. So these American troops were like escorting them through Russia as well.
Right.
And they got the name the Polar Bears. And the one thing was all the weapons froze. All the American weapons
Oh my
froze
God.
and just rendered them useless.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, oh, fuck, what are we doing here?
Again, history repeating itself. Stalingrad.
Yes.
Happened at Stalingrad. Basically, what happened at
Literally,
Stalingrad.
yeah.
They didn't learn the lesson, and they came back to Stalingrad and thought they could take Russia, and the Germans thought they could take Russia as
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
and fucking no chance because they just
Exactly
can't
the same.
survive the cold. It's a crazy place.
So let me ask: do you think personally Nicholas had a bad rap for in case of like, because he didn't want the job, and then he got thrust into it, and then he went to war, and he thought, go on, I'll do it, I'll try my best, and then he shit it.
I think he's
That's a good question.
yeah, it is. My personal opinion on like Nicholas II is he's a product. He's just a product of
just
where
what
he
it was.
Yeah,
Right.
product of where he was at the time. And he would have had to try really hard to not be. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have to try. He should have tried to not be.
Mm.
But I think again, as I say, like with how he abdicated, he was the last of 300 years of his family ruling that country,
Yeah.
and I don't think he ever saw that coming. And I think he did a lot of. It's kind of like if you do bad things, you're a bad person. Do your actions define you? Do I think did I think he was a bad person through and through? Probably not. When they were exiled, they were basically held prisoner at Alexandria Palace, which is like 40 miles outside of now St. Petersburg, Petrograd at the time. And his wife writes his wife wrote in a diary, he plays with the children and tends to the garden, and it's the happiest he's ever been.
Oh my God!
While he's exiled.
No, that speaks volumes. That though,
It's sad enough, it's another, and again another massively fascinating thing, which I'd be happy to talk about, because I think it's arguably crazier. And I'd be repeating words from a podcast I've seen, but like American presidents is another very interesting topic. When you go through all the American presidents, you skip some of the boring ones, and them as people are very, very, very interesting. If you don't look at them at the politics and just look at them as people,
See, yeah.
and it's very interesting. The things that they would do send thousands of people to die at war.
Yeah.
But then come home and laugh when the horse eats the grass. And say how funny life is, and have this kind of like solely thinking, but the next day, bomb a town in Kuwait or something. Like as people, they're really interesting.
do you think it's disassociation? Like it's the abilities are just because they haven't been there. Maybe I don't know. You maybe have to experience it to understand.
It's a good
really,
thought.
I don't know.
When I put this tie on, I'm that person.
Yeah.
When the tie comes off, I'm this person.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably very true. And it's sad again. I mean, I feel sorry for how they ended up. Yes, because I think it's not the way that they should have ended up. But like in the film Anastasia, apart from not liking the film Anastasia, because she didn't get out, no matter what anyone wants to say, she didn't survive.
I'm going to go in the opposite way then. I'm going to go against you. Even though I don't know any of the facts.
Well, basically, they stayed at Alexandria Palace for 6 months.
Yeah, let's go into the.
Again, this is where I believe it ended, because it's like there was no, because it stopped. They went into Alexandria Palace for like 6 months, 8 months. Sarina said it was the happiest he ever was. The kids were happy, everyone was happy, because there's no stress anymore.
Yeah.
There's no country to run.
Yeah, it's a honeymoon.
It was just like he just went in the garden and played with the kids, and that was all it did. And then one day, and again, this is a point of contention because no one really knows whether it was ordered by Lenin or it was because this was like during the Civil War, and basically the Civil War was the people who supported the monarchy against the people who didn't support the monarchy.
Yeah.
Obviously the people who did support the monarchy were trying to get them back. So whether it was ordered by Lenin or not, we don't know, because there's no evidence to support it anymore.
It's most likely though.
But it's likely. But one of the prevailing theories is that it was some upstarts in the Bolshevik party who were very militant, who thought this'll end the war. Kind of did, really. They were living in Alexandria Palace. They were woken up in the middle of the night, taken into the basement along with their servants, and shot and killed.
Yeah.
Men, women, children. Awful. So no matter where that's a war crime. Even if they've committed war crimes, the wife and the husband, the children hadn't.
It's just depressing.
The servants
was it 8 children?
Like it's
8 girls or something? One boy.
One boy who leads us nicely into Alexei, who is the boy, and Anastasia, the girl, the daughter.
Yeah.
2 kids. I think 2 kids, maybe 3.
Didn't they have like a few older ones though after Anastasia?
They might have done, yeah. They're the only ones I remember.
Yeah, they're the only ones I can remember the names of. Like
it was a big family.
Yeah.
Mostly inbred. Yeah. But
nice.
Brings on, talking of family, to the man in the man in the coat, Rasputin.
Yeah.
Who's a nice
man.
Who's a fascinating character.
Rah.
Obviously, it's oddly, it's like glorifying that song of Rasputin.
Yeah.
But the bloke was it sounds like happy, but they say Rara Rasputin, lover of a Russian queen, he was a cat that really was gone, like he was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And it's true. Now, have you got Rasputin notes? Or
I haven't,
because I know you talked about this previously.
I can remember it from the episode we had. I can't remember which episode.
We'll
20 episodes ago.
Because you've already done it, we'll buzz through it, but it is relevant to.
Oh, we need to talk about it, definitely.
So we'll try and buzz it, because the interesting bit's the ending, really. I think the funniest bit, the most interesting bit, is Rasputin, kind of a priest, kind of a healer, kind of a spiritual guy, 100%, like 30% spiritual healer, 20% like lover extraordinaire, 100% absolutely fucking nuts.
100% nuts.
Yeah. Crazy fucking
pot noodles and 2 bits of toast. Crazy.
Yeah.
Every day.
maybe not that crazy. But, maybe just keep a toast on the side. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we'll do that whole 3-course thing. We don't know.
He didn't have the butter on his toast.
He'd have loved a Bombay Bad Boy.
Yeah, Bombay Bad Boy.
He loved a Bombay Bad Boy.
They're spicy, them Bombay Bad Boys.
I don't go a bad boy for no reason, lad. The power. I'm a chicken and mushroom man, to be fair. Chicken and mushroom man.
Oh, I prefer them over here.
Yeah, because it does everything in it. Does everything. It's a do-all chicken and mushroom.
Yeah.
Here's a little one for you. Do you know beef and tomato? Beef and tomato. I mean, it might not be true right now, but it was at one point for a long time. Beef and tomato pot noodles are vegetarian.
Like, is that the red one?
The brown one.
The brown one, yeah.
Beef and tomato pot noodles are vegetarian. I had a mate who's vegetarian.
There's no beef.
And I saw him eating a beef and tomato pot noodle. I was like, excuse me, that's fucking, it's not very fucking vegetarian of you. And he was like, it's got no meat in it.
That's funny.
And I was like, and I went, yeah, good one. He said it says beef on it. He said it's beef flavoured. There's but the beef flavour is artificial.
That's
no
have you ever
meat in
had
it.
bacon fries? You get in the pub. They're vegetarian as well.
Really?
It's just bacon flavouring.
Bacon flavour.
Nice
like
and
cheese, innit?
nice
American
halal.
cheese.
Halal.
American cheese with no cheese in.
No, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Ooh.
There was watching a thing on that. There was like it was called. You can buy them in shops in America. Called American slices.
What is it though?
Oh.
It can't be healthy.
The American slice had 0 cheese in it.
Like, what can it
They
be?
had to legally. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it was recently. They had to legally call them American slices, not American cheese, because there was no cheese in it.
They're great though.
Yeah, really tasty.
Love that. Scrape it off your cheezeburger packet, don't you?
I mean, the problem is they are good, aren't they? On a burger, on like a Barbie burger, they are good, but very not good for you. Like Rasputin.
Like Rasputin.
Yes. So he was basically, when it pertains, there's a big thing on Rasputin, but it is a bloke who's deserved of. He's talking this whole thing over much more time, but his pathway into the Romanovs at this time. Talking about the kids, Alexei, the son, suffered from what we now call haemophilia. They also called it the royals' disease because a lot of the men in the family over that 300-year period suffered with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of royal families had, we don't know anymore, but a lot of royal families at that time, the British royal family, the German royal family, they had haemophiliacs, which is kind of gives credence to the thing of they all being fucking inbred.
Yeah.
Because, or some way, shape or other. Because if you do look, I mean, like Nicholas's cousin was like Kaiser Wilhelm, or something, massive in the, massive, in the German royal family.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of, a lot of them are interlinked. So do you have to think about saying that our royal family is German because
House of Hanover.
Yeah, because we have German ancestry, not even ancestry. There are German, there are German royal family descendants in our royal family. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of kind of a lot of truth to it. Have you seen the fucking state of King Charles's fingers? You're telling me that's not the fucking product of fucking inbreeding? He's got fucking fingers like
sausages.
Like fucking Richmond sausages.
Yeah, Richmond sausages. Yeah.
Fucking
The worst
Jesus
kind.
Christ. What a fuck. Definitely no halal over. Not halal then.
What goes on? What medical condition causes that?
Haemophilia.
I know. I mean, the
Oh, the fingers.
Yeah, the
Being a
fingers.
fucking dirty.
That's a new one. That's
lizard,
not been
innit?
discovered now. Yeah.
Next level Wuhan shit.
Yeah, we'll find out in the all sorts of in like 88 years time. He like lives to 200 or something. The blood of virgins.
God save the king.
Children.
But blood of virgins and children, and both, to be fair. Well, they got no fucking virgin children about when Andrew's about, is there? Do you know what I mean?
There we go.
I'd have a go. Cut it out.
But so if the haemophilia, basically a blood thinning disorder.
Yeah.
Your blood's very thin. You don't have the white blood cell count to clot. So when you have a cut, you clot very quickly. Your blood's thinner.
Yeah.
You bleed out quickly. So
you bleed.
your blood's thinner, so you suffer from like temperature fluctuations quite easily.
You faint, can't you,
Headaches.
as
You
well?
can faint a lot because your blood has you have like low blood pressure, so it's hard to travel around your body. Alexei suffered with this quite badly, and he was very young.
Imagine bleeding all the time.
And if you bleed, if you cut your finger, it could all be over because it's very hard for you to clot.
Oh,
so you don't
Wait,
die.
how much pints of blood do you have to lose before you die?
I have
4.
no idea.
Is it 4? Yeah.
I think 4.
Imagine what 4 pints of blood looks
I mean,
like.
it's a fuck ton, isn't it? Really?
From like a
It's a
paper cut.
fucking lot, yeah.
Imagine a paper cut.
But it just keeps going. It's not like the flow. Like the flow, it'll keep
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
but the flow it never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
Do you have to how do you stop it? Do you have to just fucking hold it?
Just literally
oh,
plug
it'll
it.
stop itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it depends how high your white blood cell. It depends on a lot of things, to be fair.
Yeah.
Proteins in the blood,
Yeah.
how high your white blood cell count is, how many like clotting enzymes you have. Like it all depends on a lot of things.
Depends if you have Rasputin on your side.
Depends if, and also if you had Rasputin on. I mean, it generally does help. Like, but yeah, Rasputin got in because he had a lot of doctors. He was very stressed out all the time. Someone knew of this healer. This healer happens to be Rasputin. The story goes that they talked on the phone, and he stopped having symptoms. That's not true. They sent a telegram.
Yeah.
And it got to Rasputin, and because they were worried he was going to die, and Rasputin said, "Don't worry, he will not die this day."
Yeah.
Then he came, and then he didn't fucking die. So they were like, "Oh, he's onto something here," and he got better quite quickly after. And then he came to the palace to meet him when he was ill again.
Imagine if Alexei died.
Yeah,
He died.
Yeah.
No Rasputin.
No.
Well, you know what we found when we did the episode on him was one of the theories is the doctor who was treating Alexei was giving him a drug that they didn't know at the time was thinning the blood even more. And Rasputin's supposed to have said in that telegram or something, don't let the doctors go near Alexei.
He did exactly. He did say that.
He did something.
Don't let the doctors go near. The telegram read, I think verbatim, "Don't let the doctors go near Alexei. May God carry you
Yeah.
your son will not die today.
So they say
something like
like
that.
as a result of that, obviously Rasputin not knowing, but as a result, it stopped the doctors giving Alexei the drug
The shit drugs that making it more fun.
that was making it worse.
Another
That's
thi-
one of the theories that we found.
Well, another theory I heard about it was because he said keep the doctors away, that the haemophilia is exacerbated by stress.
I see, yeah,
Because it raises your blood pressure and you have more chance of having issues with haemophilia.
So
And all
keep
the doctors
blood-
prodding and poking at him was raises his blood pressure and exacerbating his symptoms and making it worse. And because they listened to him and the doctors went away, he just got better on his own over a couple of days.
Yeah.
But it might be also because they kept him away. It could be a combination of the two, really. So the end of Rasputin came to the house, and that's when he had like an episode, and Rasputin sorted it out within like 10 minutes.
Wow.
And they were like, fuck, the dude's magic. He's a fucking magic fucking wizard priest.
Literally
Yeah.
magic. They thought
Because-
he was magic.
And all it was, now that again with the haemophilia, is that he just spoke to him and calmed him down. That's all it was. All he did was speak to him and calmed him down and said, don't worry, it's going to be okay. No doctors are going to come and prod you. It's going to be okay. You'll be fine.
If it did the job, it did the job.
Have a glass of water, some fresh air, and it works. But because they all treat, because they're all scared of the royal family, they were trying to try all these treatments, these modern treatments that probably weren't working properly, and it did more harm than good. But him just doing that and not giving him anything,
Just let him rest.
was letting him rest, was like they were all like, he's a fucking wizard. He's a fucking wizard.
I'm just picturing him putting in a Headspace podcast on.
I've heard
Focus on your breath.
Matthew McConaughey doesn't now, doesn't he?
Oh, he
Yeah.
does. He does.
Imagine
all right.
all right.
Listen to this.
Calm down, Alexei. It's all right. Yeah, that would sort me out, to be fair.
Yeah, easy stuff. That
Yeah, it's
easy
pretty-
stuff.
So now they all like worship him because like he's saved
Yeah.
the kid's life.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does he believe in himself that he's doing it, or is he a big swindler?
What we now
that's-
think of Rasputin is that he was one of like the first kind of like manipulators.
No
like,
way.
recorded manipulators.
Yeah.
He was so good at I don't think he believed it. No, I don't think he really believed he had powers. I think but in the sense that he had powers like magical healing powers, I believe he believed in himself how good he was at talking people round,
Yeah.
and how he could take advantage of people and play on people who didn't really know. So he had this aura kind of thing when you hear people talk about him, just with massive charisma.
Yeah.
And he was very mysterious, never washed, stunk, had horrible fingernails, never washed. Like he had, would he like these? He eats huge meals and then not eat for days. But apparently
Fasting.
Fasting.
but like, because now we know it is fasting. But then they were just like, he's like got these magic powers because he just eats and eats and eats and eats. But then he just doesn't have to eat for a week.
Yeah.
And he's probably eating somewhere, just eating it behind closed doors. But he just wasn't.
yeah, true.
But like,
Quick
but yeah,
thinking,
it was like
quick
maybe just. But you know now you can survive. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like, I mean, if you
yeah.
ask any, and if you ask any Muslim, they're like, well, yeah,
Well, yeah,
we've done it.
fucking
We've
yeah.
yeah,
We've
we've done it. We do it for years. We do it every year. But like they didn't, so they didn't know. So he did. Yeah, he was kind of crazy. Also, like there's a lot of rumors that that he had an affair with Tsarina when he was away at war, where they were shagging and that they had these fucking massive orgies.
Who the fuck would go near him? The smelly
Well,
bastard.
That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
When we were doing it, like we covered a lot of stuff that wasn't part of the Rasputin story. We covered a lot of stuff that we found out about, like how much shagging he was doing.
He was
Was he?
he was
Was he a
fucking
shagger?
everything.
He was
Well,
just
it
fucking
makes sense.
all. There was one point he had like he had a room in the capital or whatever near the palace,
Yeah.
and all these like middle-aged women were lining up just to
Fuck
like
off.
fuck him.
He's
got that riz, though, to be fair. You know
He's
what
got
I
that
mean?
fucking-
He's got
that fucking magic wizard riz.
Yeah.
The fucking Rizzler. He's got that fucking no showers for 8 years, Riz.
I
Is
need
that-
to try that fucking
is that
Riz, mate.
fucking-
I'm not going to shower and
That fucking dick cheese Riz.
walking candy clubs. I just smell a Miguel.
Smelly coming Riz. He was accused of like assault by like all the nannies and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and there's always, I mean, people who like to say that he was abusing the children sexually, but apparently he didn't. I mean,
Do you reckon he didn't?
there's no evidence all the children loved him. All the people who were around the children at the same time said he was great with the kids.
Yeah.
And he loved the kids, and the kids loved him. He used to write the kids letters. The kids would write them letters, and we've got them all documented. And there was never anything thingy. He was just like, please look after yourself and make sure you're doing your studying, but make sure you're getting outside and enjoying your life and you know, I'll always be with you and I'll always be here for you. And he was just really and as it plays into the manipulator thing, because he was just very clever and very guily, and he had this wonderful way with words that kind of convinced these people, because all these like fundamentally all the royals had access to education, but they were all fucking, you know, they didn't really access it in the way that he did, and because he was so other, because he just didn't look like anybody else.
He was a wizard.
Because he bought himself into, he dressed in this big massive coat and looked like a fucking wizard, long hair,
wasn't he dead tall
and
as
he
well?
was really tall, and he's very strong, like all these things. People believed he had powers, and you know, he had an attempted assassination in 1914
with the knife. We got stabbed.
Yeah, so some like peasant woman stabbed him in his stomach.
She had like half a face as well.
Yeah, she was
So
like,
her
it was
face was
correct,
gone?
like, and so he survived that, and then which does get to the most interested and the most kind of debated part of Rasputin's life, which is the end of his life.
It's one of the best stories
Really?
ever. I
Yeah.
think.
So
This story is just.
If you want, I'll tell it as I know it, and these are the again we don't. There are conjectures to this, but.
There's a few different
there's a few different things that people say that could be true and can't. But there are some things we know for sure, and there are some things that we don't know for sure.
Okay.
Either way, it's so good.
Yeah,
Okay.
but basically, by 1916, there were a small group of royalists and people inside the royal family or in the royal kind of echelon who believed that he was a bad influence on the royals, and that he had too much control, and that he was controlling them. It was actually in comics and newspapers. There was a very famous one of him dangling like marionettes, like puppets of the Tsar and the Tsarina, because even the people believed that basically the country was ran by him.
The Game of Thrones.
It was
you know?
it was Rasputin's country, not
As well as like they thought he was sleeping with her as well.
and he thought he was sleeping with her, and a lot of people said that he had like control over them, like he was not just that he was in with them, but he was like controlling them from behind the scenes. So it was like against hence for the marionette thing. So the bloke who like spearheaded it was Felix Yusupov, who was married to Nicholas II's niece. So he was military, and there's a couple of other people he did this with. So basically, it was 1916. Cast your mind back to 1916.
I remember.
They invite
So it's the year before the October
the year
Revolution.
before the October Revolution. Yeah. So they invite him over to somewhere near the palace for something to eat and to drink.
Yeah,
So
it's
he
like a
has-
party, yeah.
So he has it was like a little intimate gathering of these three blokes and him, which again you'd think would be suspect.
Yeah, they took him. He was down in the basement as well.
And they took him to a party in the basement.
Hold on a second here.
And on the table were like some cakes and some wine, and they were just stood around and said, "Oh, fucking,
Do you want to eat?
are they angel slices?
Some Batman
Rasputin, aren't they your favourite? don't you just? It's fondant fancy as well. Don't you love a fondant fancy? Don't you? Oh, we
my
bought
God.
them. We bought them special. We bought them special for
It
you.
reminds me of like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas when he's waltzed in by the fucking the two. Go in there. He's gonna have a fucking chat. With you. You know what I mean?
So obviously these cakes are poisoned with cyanide.
Yeah.
There's 3 cakes. He eats 3,
Of course he does. It's his favourite.
and they're all watching like this.
The
Wait.
amount of cyanide in it was enough to kill like 40 people or something
Yeah.
as well. It
Fuck
was like
off.
a ridiculous amount.
And they were just all waiting. And he sat down, ate 3 cakes, and said, "Fucking, you got a drink?" They were like, "He's not dead."
What the fuck?
So then they brought him like Madeira wine, which was also laced with cyanide, and he drank 3 glasses of that.
He's like, you's not having any.
Yeah. Said, "Fucking hell, boys, I'm getting drunk on my own." So He ate 3 poison cakes. He drank 3 poison glasses of wine, and he still wasn't fucking dead. So
these must be panicking at this moment, isn't he?
So they're like, what are we gonna do? And they thought they had this really clever plan. They were like, he's gonna poison himself, and then we'll say that we found him dead, and he's overeaten, or someone's poisoned him, but it wasn't us, but someone has. So we're gonna get away. We'll get away with this. But they were starting to get desperate. It was getting to like later, like becoming like past midnight.
Looking at their watch.
Yeah, getting a bit late. And they were they didn't want anyone to arouse suspicion, because if they got back late, or Rasputin didn't turn up,
that's it.
Then they could argue that say at a certain time he wouldn't get back, but like they were at that kind of sweet spot where we would be getting home.
I think one of the guys, his wife was in on it as well, and she was upstairs with a few other people.
Yes.
Like a few other people who knew what was going on, but they didn't want to see it or anything.
Yeah,
they were upstairs.
A lot of people wanted him dead.
Yeah,
because basically I think they were jealous fundamentally.
Bastards.
I
they
think
were
there was
just jealous of his influence.
A doctor as well upstairs that was going to confirm
the death.
I don't know if you mentioned about him in it.
No, I don't know if I can't remember how much of a part he has in the actual assassination, or should I say, but to now assassination attempt.
Yeah. He's been nailed to the cross here. This is awful.
As you said, like he could have died. He probably should have died like 30 times over.
Yeah,
but he still wasn't dead.
From what we were told, it was supposed to be like a ridiculous amount that they put poisoning in.
Yeah,
and he didn't die.
So Yusupov goes upstairs, goes through that party, and goes to his. I think actually it might be the doctor's house. Goes to someone's room. Gets a revolver, goes fuck it, goes downstairs, goes back downstairs, ends the party, goes and says, "Hey Rasputin, you've all that stuff. It's probably a good time to pray, innit? Why don't you turn around and face the wall? There's a crucifix on the wall. Why don't you turn around and face the wall and you can pray?" And he went, "Oh, it's a fucking great idea. I love praying." So this is suspicious. So he turns around and prays, and the bloke shoots him in the chest.
In the chest.
So he collapses to the ground. He thought, fucking hell, well, it wasn't very elegant.
Yeah.
But he's got the job done.
Don't tell me he's alive.
So then now he starts panicking, and he's like, but people, now it's going to look suspicious. People, I've been seen going up and down. They've heard a gunshot. Yeah. I've got to... They're
going to find a bullet hole, aren't they, as well?
Yeah, and they're going to find a bullet hole, and so they're going to like, how do we get past this? Right. So he got his hat, and he got his coat.
Oh, no.
And he goes back to his to his house, or wherever he lived, because it wasn't far away. Opens the door, makes it look like he's got him, leaves all his shit, jumps out the fucking window, comes back to clear the body, gets back in the room, and his mates are waiting outside to give him a hand. Gets out of the room, picks him up. As he goes to pick him up, he fucking jumps up.
Fuck off.
He's been shot in the chest. He's been shot like an hour ago. Yeah. He jumps up, starts fucking choking the dude out.
Oh, what the fuck?
Well, this is when the at this point, I think the doctor was in the room at that point to check
if
that he was dead. And when he jumped up, the doctor ran off screaming, saying he's come back from the dead. Ran off I think he fainted or something. The doctor because he was dead, and then all of a sudden
he's fucking alive again.
Up screaming.
So he's got screaming. He's going, "You're trying to fucking kill me! I'm gonna fucking kill you!" He's choking this guy out.
It's a good time later as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It's I think something like 2:30. I think he shot him like 11 or something at 12. So it's a couple of hours. And then he shoves this guy out. The guy falls to the ground, and Rasputin runs, doesn't limp, sprints.
Fuck.
Been shot in the chest. Sprints out the room.
Cyanide in him as well.
All this cyanide.
Is he naked right now? I'm trying to picture it.
He's still close. He sprints out the house. Gets into the courtyard, and the two guys see him, and the other guy gets up. He's still got the revolver, and they shoot him twice.
Oh my god!
Then he finally does collapse. Right?
Does he shoot him in the head?
He shoots him. So I believe they shot him. They shot him once in the head, once in the chest, but they shot him in the chest before again.
Yeah.
And then, so they wrap him up.
So he's got a few bullets in him now.
Yeah. They dump him in the river, and then that's it. And when they find his body a few days later, which is and it's a while later.
Well, they dump him in a river that's frozen.
Yeah.
So they had to break the hole, didn't they, and throw him in the river. So it's frozen. And
this is where the even more suspect thing comes up, right? When they find him with a bullet shot, but it's a gunshot through the top of his forehead. I looked at the pictures before actually, because it's just to remind myself. of why not to pretend to be a spiritual faith healer to any Russian oligarch.
Go around fucking everybody.
Yeah, and go around fucking middle-aged women and not showering and stuff. But yeah, they shot him through. So I think what actually happened is they shot him in the courtyard and they just emptied the fucking barrel on him because they were like, fucking don't get back up. So, because it works out because he had one shot through the chest and another shot through the chest, another shot through the head, or another shot through the chest, and then he had multiple lacerations, they say, when they found his body, so cuts and stuff. And he had a gunshot wound like that. Right, like the classic film thing.
Through the forehead.
So, but no one at any time was close enough to him before they killed him.
I see.
To do it. Yeah. So I think they probably
afterwards
shot him through the head to make sure to finish the job. This is where the point of conjecture comes in, because I know what you know what you're going to say, because this is where I'd love this to be true. However, I don't know if it is, because you can't. There's no real confirmed thing of this. He's dumped in the river in what it was reported at the time to be a rug, like a carpet, a big heavy thing. So he was poisoned with cyanide cakes, 3 of them, and drank 3 glasses of poison wine. Then he was shot through the chest. He woke up 2.5 hours 2 hours later, choked a bloke out, sprinted, got shot twice again, wrapped up in a fucking in a carpet, driven 45 minutes away, chucked off a bridge into an ice lake.
Or a river. Was it a river?
A river.
Can't remember.
And then it was a river, not a lake. Yeah, and then his body's found, I think, October the 2nd. A few days later, because it comes up to the surface. Yeah. Supposedly, when they did the autopsy, they found water in his lungs, which means that when he was in the water, he was still breathing.
Yeah.
Oh,
now that's supposed. There is no evidence. There is no evidence to back that up.
Okay.
However, a lot of people say that's what it happened.
I'm going to believe it.
If that's true,
I'm choosing to
it'd be
believe
it. It'd be amazing if it was.
How ridiculous is that?
Amazing
is ridiculous.
If it was. But,
maybe he did have powers.
Now, that's the thing, isn't it? What man can survive cyanide poisoning, at least 3 gunshots, knife cuts, lacerations, and still be breathing when they hit the water?
Yeah.
Not many. Do you know what I mean? It's a pretty... it's not the end of the revolution, but the end of the revolution obviously came a little bit later, but it is... Yeah. It just shows, again, the chaos, of Russia at that time. And we've only really covered ostensibly, 12 years.
Fucking hell. When you say it like that.
Yeah, we haven't even done the Soviet Union or anything.
Because when it gets past the Civil War and it's the formation of the Soviet Union and the Cold War and all the hysteria around that and the craziness around that, that's even that's arguably even crazy. God. But this is my favourite period.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why.
Because I love the idea that it was not much more than 100 years ago. The people of the country went, fuck this, and just took over.
Yeah.
And again, contrary to popular belief, it's like it was a big planned thing and they had all this stuff in place and it was secret spy. No, they were let out by the people that they overtook.
Yeah,
because they were scared, because they were so inept they didn't know what to do. They let them all out, gave them all guns, and then were surprised when they turned around with the guns and said, "By the way, you've had your time. Fuck off. See you later."
Having a go.
I like that. I like the look of that seat.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
Crazy.
It makes me appreciate my life a little bit more, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
This whole episode.
Yeah. Makes you think.
Makes me think.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy,
wow.
Crazy world, a crazy country.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's just crazy chaos.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Chaos. Absolute unadulterated chaos.
That is one of my favourite episodes, I think. That is top.
It's my favourite episode that I've been on.
Yeah.
I'll say that, boys.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
I've got another
Great
question.
time.
Quick question before we finish. The Anastasia.
Yes. So.
Do you think, is she alive? Is she dead? No, you're going dead.
They recovered the bodies.
Oh, and they recovered her body.
I think it was propaganda. I think it was propaganda at the time to say that she survived.
Yeah,
because it was the kinder of the truth.
I'd love it to be true though.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
The story
She'd still be out there.
The story is like
her lineage will still be out there.
Yeah,
the Romanovs ended pretty much. The mainline Romanovs of 300 years, the people who were heirs to the throne, because again, I mean, they wouldn't have had a queen, but theoretically, not queen appointed. They had a queen because at that time, because he was away, she was running stuff, but she wasn't like, well, he's gone. But technically, is it feasible? She's probably dead now, but she'd have.
But she'd have
lineage.
The story is like when they got the kids, they lined everybody up to kill him.
Yeah.
The one body that they couldn't find, they say, was Anastasia's.
Did they kill Alexei then?
Yeah.
They killed.
They killed everyone and their servants.
Oh, that's depressing.
But there's one of the things, like, they didn't find Anastasia. She's supposed to be like the most beautiful girl ever, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And like they couldn't find the body, and they say, well, one theory is like she got smuggled out before they
by
got
one
killed.
By one of the people or by one of the servants.
And then they say
it's like a TV fucking show. It's like it's all scripted.
Well, it ended up being a film.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Well, they say like if she got smuggled out and survived, then her lineage, the Romanov family lineage, if she had kids, is still going.
They'd be directly ascendant to the throne. Yeah.
And maybe they could come in and go,
It's like a fucking Game
I'm
of
taking
Thrones.
over Russia again.
You never know, because again,
maybe they're waiting for Putin to go.
I mean, reportedly they found the body, and it was propaganda to kind of keep people's morale up. That did still support him. Like, well, she's still out there, and she might come back. This is at the time of civil war.
Yeah.
So it was maybe a story, I believe, that got out there just to keep the people fighting who are fighting
sense,
for them.
doesn't it?
Because I mean, there's no point fighting for your king and your queen, and your king and your queen are fucking dead.
How if someone came forward, let's just say hypothetically,
It's me. I am the direct descendant of Anastasia.
Let's just
and
say,
I'm coming, Putin. I'm fucking coming.
I am not affiliated with this. I don't want that smoke.
Leave me out of it.
No. But let's just say if that did happen, then what are the steps to one prove, and then also what are the steps to then fucking go like, I'm gonna.
She'd have to get big backing, or whoever it is would have to get big.
Really?
I mean, how would you? Because you can't exactly ask her dad.
No, you can't actually get blood samples and shit, can you?
I mean, again, the thing of the blood samples. I mean, for sure they take that stuff now from anybody from the royal family. They'll have a complex blood work, and they'll be able to trace anyone back from anywhere. Like Ancestry.com, that's how we do ours. They trace through names and spit and stuff. They trace all that stuff back. So would those records? I mean, my question is, would the records still exist because of obviously the dissolution of? I mean, again, this is getting post-revolution, but the dissolution of the monarchy and eventually the church, because the Soviets were like massively against organised religion. The Russian Orthodox Church was basically the government. Yeah. So they were fighting not only against the government, they were fighting against the Russian Orthodox Church, and arguably those were the same thing. So they destroyed tens of thousands of churches, religious buildings, anything that was connected to the ROC, they destroyed. Also, they destroyed a lot of, the records of those things, and the records of, the people who they tried to delete, basically to erase them from history.
Do you not reckon maybe because they were all inbreds? Maybe there's obviously still people related, but now in other royal families,
but
aren't from the aren't from
likely
the Romanov family. But there must be some.
The Romanov family spanned 300 years. So there's got to be a few people. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of illegitimate children.
Oh yeah, there must
over
be.
300 years.
Guarantee.
Do you know what I mean? Because it was very famous for kings, especially, to have mistresses
to shag everywhere,
and then those mistresses.
Do a bit of Rasputin in.
Yeah, there was no more than after pill. So it was like those.
True.
Those mistresses.
The coat hanger's not. Was that?
Those mistresses would be mistresses until they became pregnant, and then they get scuttled away and probably give birth to the kid, and then the family just pay money to keep it quiet.
Keep it quiet.
Famous. I mean, there's more than you could shake a stick at. There's loads of instances of that. So there's most likely there's probably some probably runs a fucking kebab shop or something. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And he's probably heir to the Romanov dynasty.
Doesn't know it.
I just has no idea.
Can you imagine that one day, like Harry Potter? Listen, you are fucking you're monarch.
Take up the whole of Russia.
The question is as well: is there anything left? Because I mean, you could be like I just recently read great book actually. Atlantis of the Sands, The Lost City of Ubar by Ranulph Fiennes, the explorer.
Not Ralph Fiennes.
Not Ralph Fiennes, Ranulph Fiennes. His cousin, actually, apparently. But they only met a few years ago. But Ranulph Fiennes, great explorer. Like, look him up. I don't even want to do the disservice of starting to mention his accolades because there's too many to mention.
That's cool.
I mean, considered to be the world's greatest living explorer. Maybe the world's greatest explorer. He's just a crazy bloke. But he was born a Sir. And he talks about getting funding for the expedition when he was going to find the Atlantis of the Sands, the lost city of Ubar. And says it was very hard for me to find funding because of my name. And I couldn't get away from it because I can't renounce it. And anytime they look into me, they'd find I was a Sir.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for anyone to understand that with the title does not always come the wealth.
True.
And he says it because he was like, I wouldn't say dirt poor, but he struggled a lot. Lived in tiny little apartments with his wife. Worked his arse off to get by. Worked really hard for 20, 30 years to try and get some sort of career together to explore because he just wanted to explore. It was believed it was his call. He's still alive. But it was his, what he was put here to do. And the guy's serious. He's a great talk. If you wanted to think a podcast, the things he's done.
Want to get him on?
Yeah, he's great. Honestly, he's so.
Email him.
He seems such a nice guy. He would probably do it. Do you know what I mean? He's you go, yeah, fuck it, yeah, man. And he's fascinating. He attempted the first unassisted. I think he still has a record. The unassisted ascent to the North Pole.
Oh wow!
I see. What?
240 miles unassisted.
Fucking talk about exploring.
And I won't get into it now, just in case you do actually want to talk about it. You want to talk about it. Because it's very interesting.
Do a podcast on him.
But, but no, he's fascinating. And on one of his subsequent visits, he got frostbite in his fingers. His sled dropped into the ice, and he pulled his sled out 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah,
got frostbite. Went home. His fingers started to go black and die.
Yeah,
necrosis. He got bored of waiting to go into the hospital to get him chopped off, so he went into his garden, got a hacksaw, and cut him off.
Oh my!
Was it all his fingers or just a few?
Like that. Most of his fingers on his left hand, and I think those three. Those two maybe.
Yeah.
So he's not playing.
I think he lost 5 or 6.
He's not playing guitar again.
No. No Django Reinhardt. Can make
no Claire de Lune on the.
He's still not. He's got like stubs. I think he's got to like the.
Yeah.
And talk like the middle of the finger, but he cut him off with a hacksaw in his garden.
That's incredible.
And he went to his doctor for his appointment.
What's your fingers?
Because his man problems he said, "Okay, you ready?" He said, "Well, I kind of done it."
He's done it.
Yeah.
And he debandaged his fingers, and the doctor went, "You done a pretty good job."
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's all right. Like
you're lucky. You've done a pretty good job.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So absolutely crazy guy, but like, he's when he talks, there is a separation. So if there was some sort of king or heir to the throne, would there be anything for them to ascend to? Obviously, there is no throne, but is there any there's probably no money either.
Yeah,
there's probably no palace. There's no palaces that they own because everything's owned by the state.
Yeah, it's all government, isn't it?
Yeah,
he'd probably make more money working in a kebab shop.
Yeah,
true.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's definitely owning a kebab shop, but it's just there's no.
Do you not think you could do the only thing that maybe I could think of? Like I agree with that. I mean, from that is do an overthrowing of the government. With a monarchy backed revolution. Could
you go back? Because I mean, if you look through history, generally monarchies are overthrown.
Yeah, it's the other way
who the
around.
fuck would back?
It's the other way around.
No one. No, there's. I mean, I could very well be wrong. I can't remember anywhere where a monarchy is.
No.
I mean, there are monarchies that have taken over.
Like King Charles II.
Yeah,
he takes over from what is it? What's his name? Fucking hell.
Oh, I've no idea. Our history, I'm quite spotty. But when there have been instances, obviously, where a monarchy has taken over somewhere.
Yeah,
that happens. Happened all the time.
Yeah.
But for them then to install something after the monarchy, and then for the monarchy to come back, it's like kind of like us going back to America.
Yeah,
and taking over America again, but doing it through. Because even the monarchy over here now is a figurehead. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
mean
it's
anything.
not.
It doesn't do.
They have no power. They have no real power
Brings
anyway.
in money, that's it.
So, and cost money.
Cost money, yeah.
Cost loads of
But
money,
I'm
yeah.
touching the old mix there. But, I was like, I was feeling something. It was
What's
Rasputin's
that?
hand. He was coming from the table. But yeah, I mean, who know? Even knows what it'd look like.
Yeah, that's
True.
You know,
Maybe, do you think, because it's Putin, people would, though, get rid of Putin and all that?
I think they love him.
Do you reckon? In
Yeah.
Russia?
Probably do. He's
Yeah.
strong, isn't he?
I think the majority love him.
Yeah.
And I as you say, yeah, he's strong and
Yeah.
he's like old
G.
school.
Oh.
Like, I mean, he's frightening. I wouldn't take him. I'm not a big fan of our government right now. Like, that's putting it lightly. I fucking hate. I mean, I think they should all be shot in front of the families.
Yeah, they should be executed.
Yeah.
Like, I think for the people they've put to death in this country, do you know what I mean? They kind of deserve it.
We've got a Trotsky over here. We've got a Lenin over
do you know
here.
what I mean? I'm writing my fucking April thesis. Do you know what I mean? I'm a month late, but May thesis doesn't have the same ring. But no, I don't believe anyone should be shot. Just a legal disclaimer. But I wouldn't take him over them. I think he's probably more of two evils, but I think they like him. I think because as you say, Charlie, he's strong.
He's powerful.
And he's like unflappable.
Yeah.
And he's like bulletproof. Like he seems like a man hewn from iron. Like,
I'd follow him into a war, mate.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't see. There's no weakness on him.
Yeah.
And I just think he's in there to stay.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a very long time
Until he dies, do you think?
see. Yeah, I think he's, because when you look at like the communist, I mean, I know he's technically not communist, but they are communist really. When you look at the communist rulers, they stay till they die.
Yeah, that's
They
it.
stay till they die, they're overthrown.
Yeah.
Lenin stays till he died, Stalin stays till he died, Khrushchev stays till he died, Gorbachev stays till he died. They all, well, technically kind of was overthrown, but like, they all stay in pretty much till they can.
Yeah, that's
till they
it,
can
isn't
do
it?
I mean, and it's still communism.
It's still
It's not communism because it isn't, because the people are being treated.
What
in a
about
different
China?
way. But yeah, I think the same.
Is that the same?
I think it's not communism because ideology wise it isn't, but it is because it still hasn't stopped. Is what I'm trying to say. It's continued.
Yeah.
They say it's over, but it isn't over. It's just slightly changed its face.
It's like
It's capitalism,
yeah,
but with
Mixed in.
with a little bit of that face of communism. It's all stayed the same because fundamentally just because you say it's over doesn't mean it's over.
yeah. That's
You
it.
can
Isn't it?
tell everyone and say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. But if you're still in there, I think they tell a different
the
story.
fundamental inner workings of it all still like fucking similar.
I think you tell a different story if we were there and we saw it.
Yeah, no, I get
think
you.
they can say anything they want, but we can. What the people that are experiencing it, I think, would say a different thing.
Yeah, I get you.
Super.
I get you.
What time are we on, Steve?
Well, that's just over 3 hours there.
Wow, I think that might be.
The longest.
That might be.
Oh,
Not bad.
It's flown by though. That was good.
That was great,
Fucking
mate, yeah.
top, man.
That was
that was unbelievable.
You could even split it into 2 parts.
You could do
Could
it too.
do, yeah.
You could 1 hour and a half each.
Yeah.
Fucking
See how it lines up. It
See
might
how
line
it-
up nice. That.
yeah.
With the
never know.
break.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with a break or
Where
with
was
like
that?
where we
Where we-
talked a bit of guff in between. Like we might
Have a think
like that.
about
Well,
that. Yeah.
Top draw episode.
Top jaw. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
I
Thank you
think
for having me on.
you definitely need to come back on.
I'll anytime.
Absolutely.
It was a great time. Great time.
Chaos histories. I don't know.
Yeah.
We could do our Ian Soviet Union.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think we could follow on from that? Or should we do something different?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I could happily go down the Soviet Union. I mean, where there is more of a gap. I kind of specialised in this period of
Yeah.
history, but it'd be interesting for me to read up on it again because it's something that actually I've been meaning to jump back into. Also, I mean, you know me. There's a lot of things I'd be more than happy to talk about.
of course.
Oh, mate, you could get on with we just
you know what I mean?
chat about, I don't know,
Yeah, anything.
psychology or philosophy or
mainly
anything.
my love for our Lord and Saviour.
Oh, no. I think we might have to skip.
Yeah, let's end it here.
That's
Bleeping that out.
yeah. Sorry about that.
Anyway, anything you'd like to plug before we finish? You got your studio.
Got a studio.
Boost.
Follow us
Roost.
on Roost.
We'll put that on a
Studios
post on Insta.
Instagrams.
Check out Polka.
Yeah, if you want to listen to a band, Polka_official on Instagram.
Yeah, have you got an
Give us a
album
look.
coming out?
We'll have a single coming out soon. As soon as the studio's together,
Sick.
we'll be recording.
Oh yeah, you'll be recording fucking tons with this
as soon as that's out, we'll be banging them out. We also will be having some sort of podcast coming on soon, which you'll see on Polka and on Roost, and obviously we'll have these two gentlemen on.
Oh, lovely! I can't wait for that.
That's
boss.
As well. So
Lovely stuff.
yeah.
Well, and the listeners can check out our social media.
We're fucking everywhere. I just say type us in Google, but it's easier. Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, everything.
Yeah. And Instagram, the only one that I can manage to run. Can't be bothered doing all the
It's
others.
the only one we need. Fuck the rest.
Yeah.
The shite.
Well, that was top drawer episode. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
This was brought to you by Merdley Productions.